Say it's anything other than disappointing. Nobody envisioned the lawsuit. I guess we envision Roki. You get your hopes up, which is natural. Jerson Profar has a career year. He walks.
That doesn't mean you should not be excited for Padres baseball. And B, that this team can't win a bunch of baseball games because they absolutely can't.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
Hi, San Diego, Southern California. What's going on? We're back 4 hours, and we'll get you ready for the Aztecs tonight, as Jim just told you about in the update at 8, pregame coverage at 7. We have Aztec tickets to give away. We've got Australian Pink Floyd tickets to give away. We have Warren Haynes Band tickets to give away. Can we fit anything else in over the next 4 hours, or should we just give everything away? It's like everything's got to go. You get a car, Jim. I get a car.
I think we should add another hour to the show. So
you want to go 5 hours?
So we can fit all this in.
At what point would you be like, I'm out? Anything 401?
401, I'm like, yeah.
What if they were like, you have to do a fusion with Fletch Zone? Like the last segment of Fletch Zone, Jon and Jim, like what we used to do with Darren. You have to be included beginning at 140 because that's the bridge to your show, right?
We did that with Darren.
Correct. For 5 years.
For nothing. Like we just did it.
No, I mean, we were.
No one told us. No one said, hey.
Did?
No one said, hey, you have to do this.
I mean, they kind of did. Brian Long, who was the program director, he was a big believer in that fusion.
Bro, how many times did you say, I'm not doing this anymore?
Well, we all said that. We all said it, but we kept doing it.
Yeah, so there was no directive from someone that we had to do it. We just kind of just did it because that's what we were used to.
Here's the thing. If they came to us, like, is that where we put our foot down? Because when they said your show's going from 3 hours to 4 hours, so we put our foot down and, well, okay, we'll do a 4 hour show, but we won't do the fusion segment with Sammy and Fletch.
Let's be honest. We caved like little babies.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. So when we went to 4 hours real quick,
we said, sure. Okay.
Jim goes, I will never do a fusion ever again. I come in yesterday after a week in Jackson Hole, Wyoming at like 1:42. He's like, I'm going on the air with Fletch and Sammy. I'm like, I thought you were Mr. I'm never going to do a fusion.
Because it was the day after the Chiefs got their ass kicked in the Super Bowl.
So you wanted to kind of gloat?
No, I don't gloat about what.
The Chiefs getting there.
No, Fletch asked me like, hey, you can come on and can we just rib Sammy a little bit? I said, sure.
Okay.
I didn't really give him a lot yesterday. I felt a little bad, but in the long run, I don't actually feel bad.
Is Sammy listening? I mean, I don't feel bad.
I really
because
don't.
They've won 3. It's not. I get it. Like if the Padres had won 3, you still want the 4th. Like it doesn't make it better.
You want the cement
lose.
of a dynasty.
But like you got 3. There's franchises that have 0 that have been around for forever, right? There's franchises that have never played in a Super Bowl. I'm looking at you, Cleveland, right? I'm looking at like Major League Baseball teams. They've never been in a World Series. Seattle, they've been around for forever. The Padres have been around for forever. How many World Series they have? The Chargers have been around for forever. How many Super Bowls they have? So like you get 3 in how long? A 5-year period?
2019, 2022, so 2023.
Okay, so they've had 3 of the last 6. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's like being a Warriors fan. Like, shut up.
They've gone to 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls.
It's pretty good.
2020, 2021, and the 2022 season.
They've been in 4 of the last 5.
2024.
Now, yeah. I get it. Like, all good things maybe come to an end, and you're worried, like, is it all going to end? Like, the Patriots had their run, an amazing run, but the Patriots aren't the Patriots anymore. So I get it from that perspective. But, like, from a Padres perspective, we'll start there, obviously, today. And Will Brinson will join us to talk more about Super Bowl 59. Bracketologist of the week we'll have on. Bowertology, DJ Bauer, who's like he's as accurate as anyone.
Wow.
He'll join us.
Do you need some reassurance, going into this game and feel good about yourself?
I don't.
Where the Aztecs are?
No, because we know they got to win games. They got to play really well over the final month of the year.
Knowing that guy's hurt, he's not going to play tonight.
No, because you know me, then I'm like worried about some like rando stepping up and having the game of his life, right? Like, no, they need to win this game. I don't care who's playing for San Jose State. And Mark Ziegler will join us as well at 5:30. Let's start with the Padres, which is what we typically do. So this is from Jeff Passan today. He writes thousands of words on remaining free agents. And the Padres were listed throughout this article. You can see it at ESPN.com. I think it's with ESPN Plus, actually. But Jeff Passan writes this. And this basically confirms what Dennis Lin had written within the last 48 hours, which is they might subtract to add, which seems counterintuitive. Shoot, Kevin Acee told us it yesterday on Jon and Jim. But this is from Jeff Passan. Getting Nick Pivetta. So he's an available starting pitcher on the market. He writes this: getting Nick Pivetta, for example, could free up the Padres to move either Dylan Cease or Michael King. Both right-handers set to hit free agency after this season. He then puts in parentheses, King is far less likely to be dealt, according to sources. Does that make any sense to you, Jim, that you would move? Let's just say Dylan Cease, because he says King is less likely. So you're going to move Dylan Cease to get the return, to save the $14 million, to then go spend more than that to get Nick Pivetta, who isn't Dylan Cease. So you'll get the return for Cease. Yeah, you'll get some pieces back. You want those pieces back to trade Cease for Pivetta and spend more money? Does that make sense?
Here's how I see this right now. They are obviously putting Dylan Cease's name out there. His name is firmly out there in the trade market.
Yep.
And what AJ's doing is what, good GM should do. Guy's on his last year of his deal. See what you can get for him. I don't think they're under any directive to they have to trade Dylan Cease. I don't. I think when you're looking at the pieces that he has to trade, I'm sure they're all out there. Like yesterday, Kevin told us that Jake Cronenworth is drawing trade interest. Robert Suarez is a guy that could be on the move. I'm sure all of these names are out there. AJ Preller talks about every single player on the team except for a limited few, and probably you can count on one hand.
Manny, Toddy,
Merrill.
Yep.
So you're seeing what you could get. It's kind of like the opposite of what Nico Harrison did with Luca. He kept that very quiet. Didn't have him out in the trade market. Didn't see what he could possibly get for him, right? Just called one team, and it ended up being, on paper, at first glance, one of the worst trades you could make for a superstar player. That's the opposite of what AJ Preller does. Mm-hmm. He's going to see how much he can get. And he has in his mind what he wants for Dylan Cease.
Sure.
And so if someone bites, it's like throwing a fishing line out there and see who bites. And if anybody bites, then he's seriously going to consider it. Mm-hmm. But if no one bites and no one gives AJ what he wants, then the likelihood of them keeping Cease, I think, is very high. I don't think that they're under directive or going into spring training thinking like we have to trade Dylan Cease.
Right.
I think their mindset and AJ's mindset is, okay, I'm going to put him out there and we're going to see if anybody can give us what we want. If no one's going to give us what we want, then we're going to keep him, obviously. And we're going to have plan B and C lined up if we do end up trading him. But going into the season with Dylan Cease on this roster, I think is the preferred scenario for everybody involved, unless you get that trade bait.
Right. Can't turn down.
That you can't turn down.
Okay. So I'll walk down that path with you. Let's say you get the haul you want. All right. And it helps you to some extent in 2025, but it definitely helps you in 2026 and beyond. But we already have said this with Jurickson Profar. How do you make up his season with Connor Joe and Jason Hayward? How do you make up Dylan Cease's season, even with a good haul? And then let's just say you snap your fingers and add Nick Pivetta, who didn't have near the season. You guys can go to Google or Baseball Reference. Nick Pivetta's WAR last year was sub-2, and Dylan Cease's was over 4. I guess my issue with this Padre 2025 offseason, or this puzzle piecing and putting it together, is you're getting rid of players that produced for players that didn't produce at the same clip. So the math to me isn't adding up. If you're trying, maybe you don't have to get to 93 wins. Maybe the strategy is we're not going to get to 93 wins. Let's get to 86. It'll get us to the postseason. There's an 85% chance we get to the postseason if we win 85 games. So let's get to 85 games and let's position ourselves for 2026 and beyond. I just don't see Pivetta for Cease, Connor Joe for Jurickson Profar, and it all adding up to being anything like it was a year ago.
And the Nick Pivetta move that Jeff Passan alludes to in his piece today, that doesn't make any sense. He declined a qualifying offer.
Over $20 million.
Which is what, it's 21.
Yeah, 20.8, 21, yep.
So if Nick Pivetta declined that, he's looking for at least a multi-year deal for something larger than that.
$30 million plus.
The going rate on the market is minimum 15 million. He's not going to be looking for 15 per year. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would they trade? Haul? Yeah, why would they trade Cease
and then sign Pavetta. I would just keep Cease.
I'm with you. Other than unless it's more of the Eric Grupner, hey, we got to do it from within. We got to build. If we get 2.5 highly regarded prospects and they pay off, and we have 6 years of control. But yeah, it's like that's not congruent. That's not in line with your roster. You have 30-year-olds you're paying $30 million a year to win right now. Now, I get it. Prospects have value and building from within has value, but this roster can't be thinking about 2026. Manny Machado's not getting younger, nor is Xander Bogaerts, nor is Yu Darvish.
I like Eric Grupner. I think he's done a fantastic job with the in-game experience and all the giveaways, but he should never be talking about a roster. Like, I'm sorry. What? Like, come on. I hate to say this, but it's like, stay in your lane. Now, he hasn't said anything. You're talking about past things that he said.
I mean, he has previously talked about
it. But, I mean, as Kevin said yesterday, when what he thinks or who he thinks will be out there to represent the organization could be Eric Grupner and Eric Katsenda again. Like, huh?
And he said Eric Katsenda wants no part of it.
None. Yeah. And I don't blame him.
He's spoken one time. I thought he did a fine job.
He did.
I thought he did himself well.
Yep.
He held AJ Preller actually accountable in that moment.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Said we're all accountable for the team's performance. I thought he was fine. I really did.
I'd much rather hear from Jon. Like, give me just Jon.
But he won't even.
I know.
Kevin wrote yesterday. It's like he's not even officially the chairperson in February. It's going to be at some point in March.
I know it takes time.
And Kevin said it would do the Padres. It would do them well to speak publicly. And he's not Mr. PR. He's like, typically I wouldn't say that. He would. Yeah. He was like, typically I don't really care about the PR, but the PR has been so bad for the Padres this offseason. Yeah. Can we please be assured by someone that everything's going to be all right? Like, that's all we're asking for. Can someone come out there, AJ Preller, Eric Grupner, John Seidler, Eric Katsenda, Shildt Seidler, John Schaefer. Can someone just say everything's going to be okay? We're going to spend. We're going to win. We're committed to winning now and in the long term. Yeah. I haven't heard that.
You know, they wouldn't need to speak if
they did something.
They did something.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I need to hear from them.
Yeah, I agree. And pitchers and catchers report tomorrow. Everybody's on their way to Arizona. I'm sure most of the guys are already there.
Absolutely.
It's just like official tomorrow, and you're going to get all the social media and look who showed up and walking in. And
but wouldn't tomorrow be the traditional when Peter on the team he would speak? And
I don't think so. I think that's okay. I think that is when the entire team.
Okay, well that's only 5 days later,
and then after or at least before their first maybe like full team workout.
Okay, well that's only 5 days later. So that's Sunday. Mm-hmm. So they would talk, over the weekend with the media. It would be 20 plus minutes.
Right.
I don't even know if that's going to come. And that's what Kevin said yesterday. I asked him that. Who's going to speak? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And he thought it would do them well. I think it would do them well. That's all I'm saying. I mean, everyone's been spending the whole offseason like, what is going on? So, all right. On the other side, we're just getting started here until 6 p.m. Will Brinson will join us at 4. What about Jay Cronenworth? Kevin Acee talked about this yesterday. Like, is Cronenworth a possible player to move like a Dylan Cease? Is he more likely than Dylan Cease? What about Jay Cronenworth? We'll talk about that on the other side. Aztec basketball tickets will give away coming up here until 6 p.m. Great show lined up. Don't go anywhere. All right, Jon and Jim back with you. The Jason Hayward deal is official. By the way, if you listen to Jon and Jim or you watch us on YouTube, we're also on the iHeartRadio app, free, new, #1 audio app in the world. Download it today. Put us in your presets. Search for Jon and Jim. Search for San Diego Sports 760. You can listen live or to the podcast at any point at your convenience. Take us where you go with the iHeartRadio app. You want to guess the terms? Jason Hayward, the Padres have officially announced it. Buster Olney has tweeted out the terms.
I'm going to say 1 year. Obviously, it's 1 year.
Yeah, it's 1 year.
1.5 million base with incentives that could make it like 2.5 or 3.
There could be incentives. This is what Buster Olney writes, though. Jason Hayward's deal with the Padres for 2025 is a $1 million base, which is the same deal as Connor Joe, which is the minimum for a player with 10 years of service or whatever it is. It's the minimum. He's getting the minimum for a veteran player.
Yeah.
So that's why, honestly, do I think it's going to work like Profar, who also got $1 million last year? I don't. I don't think Joe Hayward equals Profar 2024. But then again, if it doesn't, what are you out? Like you're not out money, you're out performance because you don't have the performance of Profar, but you're not out money if this doesn't work.
Yeah, it's the Nelson Cruz deal, right?
Yeah.
Where they signed him to a 1 year deal, $1 million for their DH spot. Didn't perform. Didn't work. They released the midseason. No harm, no foul.
What was his most notable moment? I know it in my head.
Easily when he was quoted in an article when the Padres were not doing well.
Yeah.
And he screams across the clubhouse.
Like, Jake, what's wrong?
Jake, what's wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, he was asking, like, hey, what's going on with this team? You guys are like middling. You're like 3 games under 500. He's like, Jake, what is wrong with it? I can't figure it out either.
Yeah.
Was that 2023?
That was 2023.
Yeah, when they were really struggling.
Yeah,
so
I'm glad it's not a like Matt Carpenter type of deal. That would have been really bad.
Yeah, so I mean, listen, last year he made $9 million with the Dodgers. This year he's making $1 million with the Padres. That's all you really need to know. He was waived last year by the Dodgers. He didn't hit. He didn't perform. He can field his position. I'm not saying he has no value. He probably has value. I think Connor Joe, same thing. I'm not saying he doesn't have value, but it's about getting the most by putting them in a position to succeed. I just think it's exposing for Jason Hayward to maybe make 100 starts coming off 2 awful years, back-to-back terrible years in the major leagues. So maybe he bounces back. Maybe the platoon's a thing of beauty by AJ Preller, or maybe it doesn't work and some random youngster, Tirso Ornelas, is your left fielder by June 1st.
Yeah, to me, it's not really inspiring. I'm kind of like, man, okay.
I agree.
But to his credit, AJ does have a little bit of a track record when it comes to, off the scrap heap.
100% right.
And if you look at his recent off the scrap heap signings, we know last year with Profar, Solano, and Peralta, Jeremiah Estrada is a guy that he just picked up and turned into potentially the new closer of this team in the future.
Yeah.
Really good. You go back to guys like Gary Sanchez, who he picked up for nothing, remember? Jorge Alfaro, right? Did really well. Probably missing a couple other names, but in the last 3-4 years, he's done a pretty decent job when it comes to picking up guys that you're like, huh? And they actually, to their credit and to his credit, kind of perform and give them a little something.
Agreed.
I'm just looking at it from a bigger picture standpoint of you're probably going to ask this guy for a lot of starts in the outfield, potentially. And I don't know if that's going to be it. Gary Sanchez played a half a year. David Peralta, half a season, did well, right? Profar, to me, is kind of the one guy that I can think of out of the top of my head who was a bargain deal, bottom of the dumpster signing, nobody else wanted, picked him up for $1 million and really gave this team exactly what they were looking for, which is a guy that put up 85% of the production, 90% of the production that Juan Soto gave you from the previous season
for $1 million.
For $1 million. Now, can a combination of Connor Joe and Jason Hayward, combination of those guys, give you 70% of what Profar gave you last year?
Yeah, maybe. This is what you're asking Jason Hayward to do. You're asking him to start 110 games. Why do I say that? Because he's going to start against righties, and righties pitch a lot more often than lefties, right? Like, do the math on it. If there's, 2 out of every 3 starters in the major leagues throw with their right hand, And Jason Hayward starts against right-handed pitching. So you're asking him to make 110 starts for you next year. And you're asking Connor Joe to make 50 or 60 starts for you next year. And Jason Hayward was released by the Dodgers hitting 208 last season. So you're asking for a big-time bounce back. A big time. If he's going to make 100 starts for you and hit 200 last year for the LA Dodgers with all the pieces around him, where he didn't, they weren't asking him to hit 300. But you're just asking for him to be a lot better than he was last year. I mean, a lot.
I think what we can both agree on is if Connor Joe and Jason Hayward give you, let's just say, almost the exact same production that those two players had last year, this year for the Padres,
right?
That's going to be really bad,
right?
That can't happen. It can't happen. You need to have one of those guys. I'm not going to say pop and be an all-star, but you need to have somebody that's pretty respectable. If Connor Joe's going to hit you 230, you better have a 350 on base.
Mm-hmm. If
Jason Hayward's going to hit 220, you better hit 17 home runs for you.
Yeah, exactly. With power, yeah.
So, like, how is this going to work when last year both those guys were not good? You need to have much better seasons from those guys for the upcoming year. One of them needs to have something that is valuable. Like, what can they bring to the table that's going to, make them a worthwhile $1 million signing?
Yeah, Connor Joe's best 2 seasons in the major leagues, not surprisingly, happened with the Colorado Rockies. Right. You're not hitting in Colorado here in San Diego.
Like, what did he do in 2021? Or was it 2022?
No, 2021 in 848 OPS.
How many games was it? 60 something?
63.
So
that's amazing production.
That is the type of thing is if Connor Joe can give you 63 games this year and put up those numbers.
But again, that's the course effect, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember that year. He was
really good.
He killed the Padres every time they faced him.
Even the next year. He's been up and down. He could give you 700 OPS, but again, you're trying to replicate Jerks and Profar, Juan Soto, and that's asking for a lot. By the way, more from Kevin Acee. It is a $1 million deal, as Buster only reported, with a chance to make $250,000 in performance bonuses. So he can make 1.25, which is actually less than Connor Joe. Wasn't it reported that Connor Joe could make $1 million+ in incentives?
Yeah, I think Connor Joe has more in his deal.
Incentive. So Jason Hayward's made a lot of money in his career. He's made a ton of money. $200 million, I think. Yeah, and a $180 million deal at one point. This isn't about money, I wouldn't think, for Jason Hayward. All right, on the other side, we mentioned Jay Cronenworth. Could he still move this offseason? The latest on that, Will Brinson at 4 p.m. Aztec tickets to give away. It's Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by the San Diego Zoo. We'll start with the Aztecs. They're back in action tonight on the road against San Jose State. 8 p.m. tip. Pregame starts at 7. San Jose State's top scorer, Josh Duje, he's out tonight due to a back injury. NFL news of the day, Saints made it official. They hired Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to be their next head coach. And Luca made his debut last night for the Lakers as they blew out the Jazz. Luca had 14 points, 5 and 4 in the win. All February, guests 65 and older enter free at San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Enjoy the sights on the Africa Tram. Come face-to-face with tigers. Enjoy refreshments at the Kijami Overlook. There's something for everyone at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park.
All right, Jon and Jim here until 6 p.m. We do have Will Brinson joining us at 4. We have the 4th ranked bracketologist in the world. Now that's like they keep up with that. They like grade out the bracketologists. Like Joe Lenardi's like in the 100s. But DJ Bowertology, he's 4th.
Now are you going to intro him as the fourth
ranked
best?
Yeah, because he has in his Twitter handle.
That's very fitting for our show.
Because we're the 4th best radio show on the station.
Yeah.
Okay. So top 4.
We're 4th best, everybody.
It's not even like a bronze.
Top 4, baby.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So we've got a bracketologist, DJ Bauer, at 5. Mark Ziegler at 5:30 will preview tonight's game between San Diego State and San Jose State. So what about Jay Cronenworth? Remember, yesterday, Kevin Acey, you're going to have to catch Kevin when he's on the station. He's only going to join us 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from now until hopefully the end of October. But Kevin said yesterday they've drawn interest in Jay Cronenworth. It hasn't been reciprocated necessarily. Like they haven't had this strong desire to move him. I don't know how much I buy that. He's owed $71 million. How is that right? I saw Talking Friar said that today. From Dennis's article, he's owed $71 million still?
Because his
only 1 year in?
His contract didn't start kicking in until I think this
24.
upcoming season.
Okay, so he's owed $71 million. According to now Dennis Lynn and our Kevin AC, he's drawn trade interest. I would have no qualms in the world to move him. None. $71 million owed. He's also in his 30s, and his production has gone down. I like Jay Cronenworth. I think he's been a good player for this team.
Yeah.
I think he's provided real value.
Good clubhouse guy.
I would move him in a heartbeat to lower my CBT number and to potentially get something, I guess, in return for him as well at the same time.
So last year, he was paid $7.2 million. This year, it's $11.285. Okay. And then the remaining years from 2026 to 2030.
How much?
12.2, 12.2, 12.2, 12.2, 12.2.
Okay.
The luxury tax number for Jake is 11.4.
Okay.
So
$11, $12 million a year for the next 6 years or whatever.
Yeah. 7 years, $80 million. Not a free agent until 2031, where he will be 37 years old.
I mean, his career will be over.
Yes.
But he got, to his credit, good for him. He got an $80 million deal.
Hey, man, good on him. I know that was a signing that kind of came out of nowhere, but also it was during a time where Peter really wanted to keep this core group of players around for a long period of time, coming off of the 2022 NLCS run.
Right.
He wanted to keep Jake and Manny around for a long-term deal, and Darvish and Musgrove. Like his idea was he wanted the fan base to be able to grow up, like younger kids grow up with watching their favorite players throughout their teens or whatever it is, like, hey, I want Jake to be here for a long time. I want Manny to be here for a long time, and Darvish, and then add to that, Xander. Like he wanted a group of players that were going to be here for the long haul,
which I respect. I do, but also you have to look at it now through the lens of what helps us win and what puts us in a position to win now and moving forward. Jay Cronenworth has been here for 5 years. It's not like he's some rental. I mean, he's been here 5 years. He's owed another $71 million over the next 6 years. If you can move Jay Cronenworth, with all due respect to everyone that's got his jersey, you move Jay Cronenworth, right?
Don's like, I can't say Crone Zone anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. But like if Jerks and Profar's not coming back, you can move Jay Cronenworth, right? It's just how professional sports work.
I mean, maybe. I mean, last year wasn't a awful season from him. His on base and his slugging were really bad.
Remember how it tailed off though?
Yeah. I mean, he did give you 17 home runs and 83 RBI. Not bad, but he doesn't get on base at a high clip. His slugging percentage for the last 3 seasons, 390, 378, 390. His OPS the last 3 years since he had an 800 OPS in 2021, 722, 689, 714.
That's all you need to know. That's why I'd move him in a heartbeat. I mean, I just would. And that's the job of a good general manager. AJ Preller made a deal. It might not have been the best deal in the world. It's not the worst. But like if you can get out from underneath the $71 million owed to Jay Cronenworth, you do it. Now, I don't know if he truly can. And if they move him, maybe it's under the assumption that they're also eating a portion of that money. That's a lot of money. So maybe it's like, yeah, you can move him and you can get a low-level prospect back and you can eat 30 of the 71. And maybe that's not as appetizing to them. But I mean, $71 million or 11 plus per year is a lot of money. That's more than Robert Suarez makes. It's comparable to what Dylan Cease makes per year. So if you can move that might be the flexibility you need here in 2025.
And we talked about when Hassan Kim was having a really good season in 2023, thinking, all right, well, they should have just given the Cronenworth contract to Kim. Now, in hindsight, glad they didn't,
right?
Because Hassan Kim tailed off last year in a big way. He's hurt, now he's in Tampa trying to, rejuvenate his career. But now I look at, man, if I could just take that money and slide it over to Luis Ariz, lower as far as like number of years go, it wouldn't be as long, but
right.
But then it would bump the AAV up.
Right.
I'm just talking about the base $71 million remaining.
Yeah, you're right.
Just slide that over to Luis Ariz and have a guy that's younger than Jake, who is better as far at the plate than Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to give you the same pop or production when it comes to home runs and RBI, but he walks in the room and the dude's a 300 hitter every day of the week. He's a 3-time batting champ.
Yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, though, like Lynn saying they've received, I don't know, offers potentially, or they've discussed Jay Cronenworth, and we've heard about Dylan Cease for a while. You and I have talked about Robert Suarez, others have reported on it. Like, doesn't it feel like we're walking down a path to someone being moved, like a player of significance being moved? Or is this just all, you know what, we need someone to click on these articles?
No,
I don't think it's that. I really like this isn't. I mean, we're not being sold like this isn't like selling newspapers, so to speak. This ain't Roki Sasaki.
There feels like there's too much smoke.
That's what I'm saying. There's so much smoke
because AJ is what I said to start the show. He is putting all these guys out there and see if someone bites. He put the bait on the fishing line on the hook, threw it out in the ocean, and he has like 7 fishing rods lined up on the pier, and he's going to see if someone bites on one of these fishing rods. And if it does, then that's what's going to happen. But until that happens, he's going to just keep them and not trade them away just because I think he has to trade them away to get under a number. I don't know. I'm curious to see because all we've talked about is them being under the CBT this year, and right now they're over it.
Was it at FanFest that AJ was quoted? I know he didn't speak with the media, but I know he was out there. But I know he spoke with fans. Wasn't he quoted as saying, we still have work to do. We still need to add an arm or two, and we need to basically solidify our bench, like at a minimum?
He said an arm or two and a bat or two.
Well, based on that,
if
he's
bats.
saying that, but that's true. Honestly, that's true. So maybe it is more on the edges. But like an arm or two to me doesn't scream 5th inning long man. It screams to me, I'm looking at your starting rotation and you only have 3 pitchers in it. And Dennis Lynn wrote yesterday, and I think we talked about it. We did off the top of the show. It might seem counterintuitive, but they might move a pitcher to add pitching. That goes back to this. They might move Cease to add Pivetta.
I just want them to act because it's so fascinating. And I'm so curious to see what their final plan is. Maybe their final plan is, hey, we're not doing anything. And this is it. And the Connor Joe signing, the Elias Diaz and Jason Hayward and a couple guys on minor league contracts and some of the relievers that we got. That's it. That's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the stars have to perform. And we're riding into the season with what we got. Or are they looking at it being like, all right, we have to maneuver here and move some things around, because if we don't, we go into the season above the CBT. Now you can get under that in the seasons, but what if they turn out to be like halfway decent? Then they're not going to do that. They're not going to be like at the deadline, if they're halfway decent. Wouldn't they be looking to try to add?
Right. MLB trade rumors today reporting the Padres are $6 million above the luxury tax threshold. Right now, they're $6 million above the luxury tax threshold. So you and I and everyone do the math. You have to. You can't get under without subtracting. Simple as that. If you want to weigh in, 877-767-4760. We'll hear from AJ Preller, what he said about what is necessary this offseason. On the other side is Jon and Jim. All right, Aztecs basketball tonight, 8 p.m. from San Jose State. We'll get into it a lot in the 5 o'clock hour and before. Pregame coverage at 7. Ted's got the tip at 8 right here in your home of the Aztecs. San Diego Sports 760. If you want to weigh in, by the way, we have a phone, and you call it, and then we can put you on the air.
We have a number to the phone,
this,
too.
You know what a phone is, right?
Yeah.
By the way, I showed Jones a phone, but not this.
Like an old phone?
He legit, it was amazing to watch. He was like, what is this thing? I was like, because you just assume, because we've seen phones, right? Like things you pick up. And it wasn't even the old rotary. It was like a phone. And he was like looking at it like, what is this? Which makes sense because it doesn't look like a cell phone.
No.
You know?
You should show him when he gets a little older, like here's a DVD. Here's a VHS. VHS tape.
He doesn't get any of that.
Here's a newspaper.
He's seen those, but yeah, the phone concept. Anyway, we have a phone. You can call it 877-767-4760.
What is this, Dad?
We'll get to the phones in a second. This is what AJ Preller said. Was this at FanFest when he said it?
The last time he spoke was at FanFest.
Okay, so at FanFest, this was with the fans. He had this to say about what the Padres still need to do this offseason.
We know we got some work in front of us. We've got to add a batter or two. We've got to add another starting pitcher or two. And I got a lot of faith over the next, few weeks and into the season. We'll keep looking to add to the roster and the team. And, all with the goal of trying to bring a championship here to San Diego.
Starting pitching.
Oh, starting pitcher or two over the next few weeks and into the season.
Well, that makes sense. You have to, because after Randy Vasquez and Johnny Brito, it's pretty thin.
Yeah, Matty Waldron. I mean, they have options to start the year. It's not like they're in this absurdly poor spot when it comes to starting pitching. Obviously, King C. Starvish is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Do they need more? Yeah. I mean, what he said at the end of that, which is like in an effort to bring a championship to the city. I mean, again, you can say it, and I'm not saying they weren't close. You could argue they were close in 22, and you could argue they were probably close in 24. It's back to what you said yesterday, which is like, but are you better off today than you were 10-24? And no, they're not better off today than they were 10-24. So the idea of bringing a championship here, well, you got to get back to where you were in 24 to even get close.
Tell me if you think this is interesting or not.
Okay.
So Padres PR just sent out like a list of
I saw that.
Every player on the team and alphabetical order and all their numbers and stuff. But the one thing I'm looking at here that's interesting to me is the section where it says 0 options remaining.
Yeah.
Here are the players with 0 options remaining.
Guys that have to stick.
They have to stick, or the likelihood of them being with the team
is lower.
Is not there. Austin Davis, left-handed pitcher. Okay. Elias Diaz, we know he's going to be on the roster. Logan Gillespie, interesting name in the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
Luis Patino, another interesting name, but I don't think he's going anywhere.
Right.
Eggy Rosario is a guy to me will be on the 26-man opening day roster. Catcher Brett Sullivan. Their depth in the organization, not great. Not great. Tyler Wadey.
He'll be
there. And JB Wendelken.
Yeah, what did I call him last year? Wendell Hacken or something?
Wendell staff?
Yeah.
So of the 0 option remaining players, how many think are going to have stick? And how many do you think like they have to keep just because?
None do they have to, because there's like 4 or 5 of these guys that will be on their opening day roster. For example, their catcher Diaz, like you said, Eggy Rosario will be on their bench. Tyler Wade will be on their bench. And then one of these relievers, like you said, Austin Davis, something like that, or Logan Gillespie.
I think Diaz, Eggy Rosario, Tyler Wade are all on.
Yeah.
I think Logan Gillespie has a chance as a reliever, and maybe JB Wendelken. That's my list.
There's basically a saying here, and I'm going to make the saying. The saying is you don't keep someone up because they have no options.
That's
because
correct.
that basically puts you in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Like they're basically making the option for you. If you're trying to contend, you don't keep someone because they have no options. If you're a bad team, sure, keep someone because they have no options. If you're trying to contend, you don't keep someone because they have no options. Let's go to the phones. 877-767-4760. Dave wants to weigh in, and he's back with us here on Jon and Jim. Thanks, Dave.
And hey, guys. Well, let's. I think I was just going to add that certainly AJ's out there trying to do whatever he can do based upon the phone ringing, and that's what it's going to take. So to speculate on whether there's a plan or not. I think the plan is waiting for the phone to ring. And so if it rings and there's something that's out there like he had last year that makes sense, then by all means, I think he'll continue. But until and when that happens, I think we can, sit here every day and gnash our teeth about it. But I think we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if he's waiting for the phone to ring. I think he's more the outbound guy.
Yeah.
Like I think he can spur movement himself. I don't think he needs the White Sox to call to get something done. I think he can call the White Sox, bad example. But you know what I mean? Like, no, I don't think he's waiting for the phone to ring. I think he has plans. AJ Preller, you could say a lot about him, but one thing you can't say about him is he doesn't have like a mind that's thinking about how to make his team better. Doesn't mean he's always going to do it.
Yeah, you can't say about him that he isn't always trying.
Yeah, he's trying.
He's trying. He's calling. He's thinking of every type of scenario possible.
And when I heard him there in that clip from FanFest, that didn't sound like a guy that was just like saying that just to say it. To your point, yeah, maybe Connor Joe and Jason Hayward aren't exactly jerks and Profar and whomever else, but I don't think he's just saying it to say, oh, we're going to add a couple of bats, oh, we're going to add pitchers and then do nothing. I don't believe that's accurate. I think he does have a desire to improve this roster. How is a whole nother conversation. If there's someone that's creative, it's AJ Preller. I think there's scenarios to make this team better. I don't know exactly what they are, but I'm sure there's options out there to make this team better.
And you are AJ Preller, you have to be on your toes because at any moment he could strike. There is not a single moment where you're like, too far. It's too late now. Like day before the season, he'll make a trade. You know?
The
first week of the season, he'll make a trade.
Yeah.
He'll make a trade at any moment in time.
I agree.
I think that is the next move to happen is a trade. I don't think another signing is going to happen until they trade a piece.
Right.
Or something for something back that will help the Major League club and this season.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I think it's it might be the inevitability that a trade is coming. And that might be where we are. And that's maybe it's ultimately, I think you could look at it two ways. I think you could say keep everything intact. You have enough of a core to get to the 85 plus win threshold. You could also say, you know what, I understand the idea of trying to move Jake Cronenworth. I understand the idea of trying to move Robert Suarez. I even maybe understand trying to move Dylan Cease. I could be convinced multiple ways is my point. I don't think there's like a one path you're going to 75 wins, another path you're going to 90. Both paths might lead you to 80 something wins.
Right. It's not, I think I see people in the chat and see people online. Like, this ain't a fire sale, guys. This ain't the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's not the best, and it's not what you had hoped for coming off of last year. But it's not a fire sale.
No, it's not. I agree. I mean, their payroll's gone up.
Yeah, their payroll has gone up 20% this year.
Third most in the sport.
Which it's like, huh? And they've done nothing.
We'll get to the math on that on the other side. I don't even fully understand the math. How is that the third most in the sport just based on arbitration, right? Isn't that basically what it's based on? They haven't agreed to any terms with anyone outside of arbitration. They haven't extended Jackson Merrill.
No, but they've added arbitration numbers. Those have gone up. And then what? $5 million here for 3 players and Diaz and
that's not
Joe and Hayward. I know
it's absolutely nothing.
I get it.
All right, so Padres payroll has gone up.
Well,
it's
also
misleading.
You have guys that are signed long-term contracts. Their deals are going up too.
Yeah, I guess their payroll is, but their AAV isn't, because if Manny Machado makes more, if they write him a check every 2 weeks for more money, it doesn't change the AAV.
Like Tatis's number. That's up.
What he's making, but again, that AAV number has been set in stone.
Yeah, there's two numbers. There's the AAV and then the payroll.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into that on the other side. We're here until 6 p.m. Coming up at 4, Will Brinson, CBS Sports NFL writer. We've got a bracketologist at 5, Mark Ziegler on Aztecs and Spartans tonight. Will join us at 5:30. We've got great giveaways today. Stay with us, Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. San Diego State back in action tonight as they take on San Jose State up in the Bay Area tonight. 8 p.m. tip. Pregame starts at 7. San Jose State's top scorer, Josh Aduje, he is out tonight due to a back injury. And NFL news of the day, the Saints made it official. They hired Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to be their next head coach. And this update's been brought to you by Staples.
Previously on Jon and Jim.
From a Padres fan or season ticket member perspective, the way this team has drawn, the way this organization has been supported, to see an offseason go like this, how could you say it's anything other than disappointing? Nobody envisioned the lawsuit. I guess we envisioned Roki. You get your hopes up, which is natural. Jerkson Profar has a career year. He walks.
That doesn't mean you should not be excited for Padres baseball. And B, that this team can't win a bunch of baseball games, because they absolutely can't.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. Will Brinson, he's been with us all NFL season long. He'll join us a final time to put a bow on Super Bowl 59. He'll join us at 4. DJ Bauer, he is the 4th-ranked bracketologist in the world. Just like Jon and Jim is the 4th-ranked radio show on the station, as Jim joked about. DJ Bauer will join us coming up at 5 p.m., and then Mark Ziegler will get us ready for the Aztecs and San Jose State. He'll join us at 5:30. Now, we briefly touched on this, that the Padres payroll is up. Is it 20%?
21%.
21%. It's the 3rd highest increase in the sport, but I'm not buying it. Like, I'm buying it, I guess, by the math. I guess math is math, but you can spin anything anyway. And that's a spin job, is it not? Based on everything that we know, yes, you're right. Tatis is making more money. Machado's making more money, but these guys were already under contract, Jim. All they've added is a catcher in Diaz, Connor Joe, Jason Hayward. That to me is not like the 3rd most impactful offseason. I just, you could say whatever you want about payroll. That's completely misleading, isn't it?
100%, because you're not factoring in the amount of deferrals one team has.
Too, yeah.
LA Dodgers. You're not counting that. You're also not counting what the luxury tax numbers will be for these teams. Like Kike Hernandez just signed a 1-year, $6.5 million deal with the Dodgers today because of where they're at in the luxury tax and the a repeat offender.
Yeah,
that thing's going to balloon to like close to like $15 million for that contract, because the contract that Kirby Yates signed, that thing just went up to like 26 because it was 1 year, 13. So like those numbers don't count towards the payroll. It counts towards the luxury tax number, but not the payroll. Again, I'm not good with numbers. You know that.
No, you're terrible with them.
Awful. Look, if it says they're up 21% as far as their actual payroll goes, I get it, because Jeff Sanders, who does a great job, posts all the time the Padres projected payroll, and it's at 195, 196. And last year, the season it ended in the 170s, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, their CBT number with Connor Joe, Jason Hayward is now $247 million, which is $6 million more than the CBT tax threshold. So they're over the tax threshold. This is a little bit like what I said yesterday. You didn't agree, but like, it's the most watched Super Bowl ever. I mean, is it? Again, like, yeah, well, we're including Tubi. Okay, well, Tubi didn't exist in 1991. Like, oh, the Padres, and you know you're going to hear this, Jim, when Katsenda speaks or Grupner speaks or Preller or John Seidler or whomever. Oh, we're up 21% in payroll. Aren't you going to hear that?
Better not.
Aren't you preparing yourself for that? I am. I'm preparing for that spin.
I'll prepare a take for that if that happens, and I'll call it 100% BS. Because if you are going to flaunt your, quote, payroll going up now, stop. No fan's going to ever buy that.
Mm-hmm.
No smart fan is ever going to look at that and go, yeah, you know what? He's right. Our payroll is up. This is awesome. When you've lost the players that you lost, and the constant rumors every single day revolving around trading one of your 2 top pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
No, stop.
Yeah, I'm just prepared for it. I mean, I'm fascinated by this week, truthfully, because we've gone so long without really hearing from anyone. I mean, what's the offseason? It's Mike Shildt saying we're going to land Roki and then going on his 5-minute soliloquy at FanFest. Jim sent me this audio. I didn't hear it. I was away last week, right? And I know you played it last week. And Jim's like, you have to listen to this. He sends it to me last night. I'm like, all right. It's like started 56 seconds. So I fast forward. And it was like Derek Togerson, like, hey, Shilty, like, how was the offseason? He's like, I'm so glad you asked. Wadey, he's really hitting the ball. He went through 20 players in 6 minutes. He mentioned Yuki Matsui's strikeout to walk percentage rate, not even his rate. 5% walk guy, 34% strikeout
Randy
rate.
Vasquez, 20 starts last year.
Yeah, it's like, that's pretty good. I mean, it was incredible. So that's our offseason. It's Shilty.
Might have been one of my favorite just sound bites
ever.
It's
amazing. It's too long, but it's amazing. I would play right now.
And then Derek goes, so safe to say you're excited.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm fired up, man.
Dude, he had some amazing lines. I texted you like 30 things just listening to it live. Like I texted you like 12 times, like, oh, he crushes lefties and righties.
Dude, me and Brent, when we played that last week on the show,
were you cracking up?
I was dying because I was there. So I heard it in real time. And in real time, I'm like kind of looking over at people and being like, okay.
Amazing. So you were in the room when he said all that?
Yeah, I was. I have it on my phone.
Did you think it may never end? Like he would continue for another 5 minutes?
My arm was getting tired from just holding my phone. And I look at my phone. Like 6 minutes have passed, and one question's been answered, and the press conference ends, and I turned to somebody who was next to me, and I was like, "Oh, everything's great.
Yeah, everything's great.
I guess."
Shildt, and I know. I get it. I mean, he's a glass half full.
Oh, he's more than glass half full. The glass is 100% full all the time. It's overflowing.
Anyway, I guess my point is that the offseason is the Shildt side of their lawsuit, missing out on Roki, winning sustainably. Right, we've heard that. We want to win, but we want to do it responsibly. And then a couple of Shiltyisms. Oh, we think we'll land Roki. Well, you didn't. And then 6 minutes on why Tyler Wade has had a great offseason.
No, we expect to land Roki.
Yeah. I mean, he walked us down the path that they were going to land him.
Again, if this team wins 88 games this year, Mike Shildt can say whatever the hell he wants to say. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
And make the postseason.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, joke's on us. But, if they don't, all his antics, and we said it last year, you win, you can say whatever you want post game. Great. Who cares? Win, doesn't matter. But
I love his post games.
Oh, they're must watch. Absolutely must watch.
I can't wait to play those during afternoon games, play them back right here on Jon and Jim.
I know. And will we overreact? Absolutely.
Yeah, we will.
But if you don't win, then those press conferences and the things that he says, just it's insufferable.
And by the way, and we were very complimentary of Shildt. By the time they went on that run in the second half, I mean, he could do no wrong. He was pulling the right strings. Now, with all that being said, remember the criticism, and honestly, I thought he should have gotten more, but remember the criticism Melvin got into Bob Melvin in 2022 when things unraveled against the Phillies.
All his fault.
And I was really critical. I actually am surprised. I could argue that Mike Shilt's 2024 postseason managerial job was worse than Bob Melvin's 2022. There were some awful decisions in the Dodgers series, going way back before games 4 and 5, like game 1 pitching to Shohei Ohtani with a lead, like there were, and we had talked about obsessively for like 4 days leading into that series.
Yeah.
But again, I thought in the regular season he did a great job. I think he's a very good manager. I think everything's under a microscope in a postseason. Look at the Dodgers with Dave Roberts historically, right? He's been under a microscope for a decade. He's overcome it now. But I think you can win, is my point with Mike Shildt. It's proven.
Yeah.
You can win with Mike Shildt.
He's a good manager. He's won. And covering Mike Shildt for over a year now, I've been in this market for well over a decade. Kind of just feels like Mike Shildt fits that San Diego vibe.
Interesting.
Everything's great. It's great outside. Something bad happened, I'm just going to go outside to the beach, or I'm going to go eat some fish tacos, or go get some beer, or everything's great. Like nothing. It's hard to be upset at too many things when you live in San Diego.
I agree with that.
So I kind of feel like Mike Shildt, with the way he speaks about his team constantly, and everything's great, everything's fine. And Yuki Matsui's his walk rate, oh my God.
Yeah, 5%.
It's great. He does kind of fit the vibe of San Diego as everything's fine and the positivity train, and it's great.
Honestly, maybe it's better that way.
Maybe.
is what you and I do, which I think is completely fair and reasonable. I think we provide the perspective that people are seeking. Like we're trying to do it from that unbiased place. When things are good, I mean, you heard us in the second half of the season. We told you that we thought this team could win the World Series repeatedly in the second half of the season, including in the postseason. When things weren't good, they had 4 or 5 game losing streaks in the first half of their season. Yeah. We told you things weren't good. But you know what? What you just said there, which we've never once discussed on the show in years, the idea that he kind of fits the persona of the city of San Diego is interesting. And maybe that's fine. Maybe that there's some good in that not everything is on the line every inning. Maybe it's good. Not maybe, it is. That it's not Philadelphia. That every inning isn't life or death. That every game is not going to impact your ability to get a good night's sleep or not. Maybe there's actually some value in that.
Yeah, it's not how I operate as a fan
nor me. We're
as
hardcore.
A talk show host. Yeah. I lean more towards the Philadelphia, the bigger market, like type of
just like everything
attitude.
Matters.
Everything matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I live and die with everything.
Yeah.
And my team loses a game, it's the end of the world. They win a game, can they back it up?
Same way.
And then it's kind of one of those things where you're never really satisfied until they actually win the whole thing. It's hard to just like enjoy the ride when you know that the ultimate goal is the ultimate goal. And if you don't get there, then it's like, this sucks.
Yeah. I mean, you've been a fan of one of the best NFL teams of the last decade, yet they haven't won a Super Bowl. And that to you has been as frustrating as anything.
Yeah.
Even if they went, it's almost even more frustrating than just going 7-10 every year because they've been so close. Or you get the point. I mean, Golden State's won a lot, but they've also lost some. And that's extremely disappointing, even though they've won a lot. I guess at the end of the day, but I get what you're saying. I think you just made a really fascinating point, which is like, you know what? Not everyone's like you and I.
No, they're not. And I think when we listen to Mike Shildt speak about his team, I do think there's a good amount of people that feel the way we do. There is.
I mean, we know radio.
Yeah,
so,
we know it. We see it. We hear it. But I also think there's a lot of people that feel the way Mike Shildt feels. Everything's great. Look at all the superstars we got. We're going to be great this year. It's fun. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be fun. It is fun. We are excited for the start of baseball. Thank God.
Yep.
Like
feels like it's been forever.
Can't get the baseball season fast enough around here.
Mm-hmm.
But when we break down things in the off season as honestly as we do, people kind of just look at that and be like, whatever. We have Manny, we have Tati, we have Jake, we have Merrill.
Maybe they're right. I mean, listen, we've gone crazy at times where people are like, 20 years ago, we wouldn't even have been in the conversation to land Manny Machado. And I'm always like, well, what kind of, but maybe that's a better way actually to go about your business sometimes. Or the whole Roki thing, like to me, was super disappointing. Mm-hmm. Like that you're in the conversation. It's not the first big name, whatever it is, free agent or posted player from Asia that you've sought, right? There was Seiya Suzuki, even Shohei Ohtani. And then there's Roki Sasaki, and you're like, man, it sucks to be bridesmaid all the time. Like, wouldn't it be nice to land? And other people are like, isn't it amazing they were one of the 3 teams he considered? I'm like, well, I guess you can look at it different ways. Mm-hmm. I guess that's good. I don't know how many games that's going to win them that they finished top 3 for Roki Sasaki.
And how what has transpired in the offseason doesn't really play that much of a role with the fan base.
What's that?
Is that this team is going to draw damn near 3 million fans this year.
I think they'll draw over 3 million.
And opening weekend against the Braves, all sellout games.
Have they announced that?
No, I'm just saying.
You're right. Yeah, they will be.
They'll be all sellout games.
Yep.
Downtown Petco will be crazy on opening day.
Yep.
You look what's going on in Dallas. I'm not saying Dallas is like this market that you should live or die by, but they're freaking out right now. Mm-hmm. And they're a pretty good team, even though AD is now hurt, which is just the worst thing possible for them. But in San Diego here, and it's not a knock, it's just kind of the truth. It's like happy-go-lucky, and we win and lose. It's great. Let's have fun. And that's kind of Mike Shilt's persona, as like, if you lose, okay, well, I'm going to find any positive I can in a loss, and I'm rolling with that, regardless of how bad this game was just played.
Interesting. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. 877-767-4760 or 70470 started with the word team. Let's take a look at what this roster might look like in 2025. Coming up at 4 p.m., Will Brinson, CBS Sports senior NFL writer, Stay with us. It's Jon and Jim. San Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. That's every hour, 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. Listen for the keyword at the top of every hour, then enter it at sportssd.com. Presented by Palomar Solar, your trusted partner for solar, batteries, and roofing. Will Brinson is here at 4 p.m. I mean, not literally. Be on our phone.
Correct.
Will Brinson will join us at 4. We've got Mark Ziegler swinging by. Again, not literally. at 5:30. Aztec basketball tonight at 8. Pregame coverage will begin at 7.
Were you pumped to watch the Luca debut last night for the Lakers?
I threw it on. No, I watched a decent amount, and they showed him on the bench a decent amount because he was just like sitting there.
Well, because the Lakers were up by 40.
True. I mean, they played a team that was 12-39.
Yeah, not great.
And they were up 20 immediately. And I was watching the second quarter, then some of the third quarter. And yeah, it wasn't overly compelling to me, but good for the Lakers, I guess. And Luca.
For his first game in almost 2 months. First, the whole narrative of, man, he's fat and out of shape. Okay. Well, didn't look fat and out of shape to me. Again, he only played 20-something out of minutes.
But he's also never looked bad.
I know.
He's always been great.
And he still puts up 38 and 8. And last night, he barely broke a sweat, put up 14, 5, and 4.
Yeah, playing 20 minutes.
And I just think the way the Lakers are playing right now, they're a scary team. Because once Luca does get back into game shape, because Jimmy Butler's dealing with that right now with the Warriors. He's like, I haven't played in a while, and I'm winded out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Luca's going to feel the same thing, and he's going to be managed and get back into good playing shape. But once he does, dude, I'm telling you, when him and LeBron are together on the floor and they're healthy, you could have you out there, and they can still make something happen.
I would love that.
I think people are seriously doubting the combination of how these two players are going to work out. I think it's going to work out big, and I think whoever they face in the postseason, I would be scared if I was that team. How
is it, and just a general statement, how is it that the biggest trades in NBA history always benefit the LA Lakers? Like, that's just that general question. Isn't that a fair question to ask? How many trades are there in the history of the NBA that have been like, oh my gosh, they ended up with
we got
a
Kareem,
25-year-old Luca,
you got Kareem,
Shaq,
the Kobe.
Shaq is free agency though.
Yeah, Shaq is free agency.
Gasol,
the Kobe trade on draft night from Charlotte.
There's a good one. Of course, nobody knew at that exact moment.
LeBron signs with them.
Yeah, maybe the signings. Okay, fair. There's free agency.
End up with superstar players, and I don't think it's a coincidence. Maybe it is a coincidence, but it's the biggest market in the league. It's their most prized team as far as like popularity goes.
It's just the market that I feel like it's all played out over like the last 25 years that it's been that way. But you bring up a good point. I think it goes back further. It's actually not the biggest market. It's not New York.
Well, I know that, but and Celtics as well.
Is it the most celebrated franchise in the history of the sport? Yeah, you could argue it between that and Boston.
And Magic and Larry, put the NBA on the map in the 80s with their feud and the Lakers and the Celtics. And ever since then, the saying goes, when the Lakers and Celtics are both good at the same time, that's good for the NBA.
No, that's fine. And I completely buy it. I'm just wondering, why is it that the Luca deal never benefits Indiana? You know what I mean? Like, maybe it has. Maybe it's just too easy to say.
Well, when you're in a market like LA, you know the history. And so Rob Pelinka knows that
you got to swing big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to swing big, and it's a superstar town. If you don't have a superstar player on your team, you are not going to be noticed.
Sure.
No one's going to care about you. So you have to swing for the fences all the time. In Indiana, you think they're sitting there being like, we got to get superstar players on our team to be relevant? No.
Right.
Like, no. Indiana Fever are probably the most relevant team in Indiana right now because of Caitlin Clark.
It might be true. Yeah.
But in LA, especially, you have to have superstars. And so, yeah, it kind of works out that way. And I don't like the Lakers. I want them to suffer and lose, but I can't deny the fact that when the Lakers are good and they have superstar players on their team, it's just a more fascinating NBA to me.
Yeah, no, it is.
Bigger markets,
it is.
Big markets having the star players on their teams. I don't technically really like it, but it does matter.
Anthony Davis, perfect example. Okay, you get Anthony Davis as what, a 25-year-old 6 years ago. Luca this year, 25 years ago. I mean, there's so many examples. Some of the biggest modern trades, there have been a million, but some of the biggest modern acquisitions. Shoot, they added Chris Paul, but they didn't. You know what I mean? It's like, it just seems like the deck is stacked in their favor. And maybe that is great. That's what everyone, I guess, wants. Although I actually don't think it's what the NBA in theory prefers, because they offer up all these incentives for max contracts for players to stay.
Bro, they love it.
I know, but like Luca, for example, if he would have stayed, and I know it was out of his control, he was traded. If he would have stayed, that max contract offer was what, $130 million more in Dallas than it will be in LA.
Yeah, he was going to make the new Supermax.
Yeah, which is 350 or three. I mean, he's fine either way.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be living on the streets.
I think with where the NBA's at right now, if I'm Adam Silver,
you want this.
I want this.
They
bad.
need it, man. The ratings. Nobody's been talking about the NBA until now.
Well, the two best teams, I had a rant about them a couple weeks ago.
Oklahoma
and Cleveland. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
they just don't do it for the average fan. They
Right.
just don't do it.
You don't want a Thunder Cavs final?
I don't. Now, that's no disrespect. They're great teams.
Right.
And if you are just a pure basketball NBA enthusiast, I'm sure you watch these two teams play and you're just, I
probably
love
good.
this.
Probably good. Yeah.
But how many of the casual fans out there know all the little intricacies of the NBA, like the diehard enthusiasts? Like, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
They want to say, hey, Luca, Steph, with Jimmy Butler now, Jason Tatum, Giannis, Jokic has now, I think, become a guy that, I want to watch Jokic play. It's a star-run league. We know that. And when stars are in the biggest markets, it's better for their league. Even when Kevin Durant was in Oklahoma City, it was good because he was a superstar player. SGA, he might win the MVP this year, but he's not at that level yet.
Okay, I want to respond to that on the other side and take it across sports. We'll do that next. Will Brinson at 4 p.m. will join us. We'll put a bow on Super Bowl 59. Mark Ziegler at 5:30. We'll get you ready for the Aztecs tonight. Stay with us.
This update's brought to you by Staples Stores. San Diego State takes on San Jose State tonight, 8 p.m. tip, pregame at 7. Big news for San Diego State. San Jose State's top scorer, Josh Aduje, he is out tonight due to a back injury. Luca made his debut last night for the Lakers. Lakers blew out the Jazz. Luca put up 14, 5, and 4 in his debut. And NFL news of the day, Saints made it official. They hired Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to be their next head coach. And Padres news of the day, they've also made it official, a 1-year, $1 million deal for Jason Hayward. And this update's been brought to you by Staples. All right, come on, mister. I'm going to destroy you.
You're on the air. Oh. All right. No, I'm not going to here's the thing.
Whoops.
Your general take is it's good for the NBA. They're the Lakers' massive market.
My take is having stars in big markets is good for the NBA.
But not baseball.
Baseball? No, I never said.
But you see what I'm saying? No, because
the NBA, not baseball.
Okay. But it's good for the NBA, but it's bad for baseball?
I never said that. You're trying to.
Well, no, we have.
No. When have I said that?
Or is it good for baseball what the Dodgers have done with stars?
Okay. That's a different argument. They've taken all the stars.
True. I know. Maybe it's to a further degree, but the Lakers over the years have had all the stars too.
And I think stars, and to me, it's a completely different conversation. Completely different.
Not that different.
I was only referring to basketball in the NBA, not
That's
baseball.
why I took it to the sport, because I'm just saying, if the Lakers are celebrated, which they are widely, it's not just you. It's not your point. They're widely celebrated for acquiring players like Paul Gasol, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Anthony Davis, LeBron James in various capacities, trade or free agency or otherwise, leveraging the star power of Magic Johnson and the Buss family and Staples Center and everything that Hollywood and glitz and glamour offers. If that's celebrated, is it that different what the Dodgers are doing? I'm asking the question. Because I'm anti what the Dodgers have done too, but it seems like in some sports it's celebrated where others it's not as much.
Well, you could say in baseball, from an objective standpoint, having stars in LA, having stars in New York, those things matter. Having stars in the biggest markets, they matter. Philadelphia, Bryce Harper,
right.
LA, Shohei Ohtani, Soto staying in New York, Judge in New York. Like those things matter, but baseball is a more regional sport. NBA is still a regional sport, but it's definitely more national than baseball ever will be.
100%. I mean, LeBron James is super recognizable everywhere.
LeBron goes to Charlotte for a night. That place is packed.
And Freddie Freeman isn't exactly universally recognized across the country.
They go to, the Dodgers go to Miami. They're still going to have 10,000 people there.
Okay. It's not. I'm just making the point that the sports are interesting because of this. Like the NFL, nobody ever talks about market.
Right, because NFL is such a national game.
Okay. NBA, people talk about market obsessively, right? Big market, LA.
They talk about, I think the brand of like the Laker brand, the Knicks brand, the Warriors brand.
Okay.
How many teams in baseball are in the top 10 for
evaluation?
I think 1 or 2.
Like the Yankees or the Dodgers, you're saying in terms of franchise value?
Yeah, they're not in the top 3.
No.
Warriors, Knicks, Lakers. Those are some big teams. Not everything NFL and.
But I'm just going.
Teams,
I'm 100%. We're on the same page. I'm just saying that where you and I were like Pacers, whatever. Isn't that the same thing? Isn't that like Padres in the national narrative? The whole Ken Rosenthal Padres like pipe down over there. That's not good. The way the axis of the sport works is through New York, Boston, Los Angeles, not San Diego.
Well, in Indiana, you can pay a superstar the same amount of money as you can pay him in LA. You can't do that in baseball.
True.
The Dodgers are going to pay more money than everybody. If Luca was drafted by the Indiana Pacers,
right,
he would have an opportunity to make more money with the Pacers
than with the Lakers. Well, he just had that opportunity with the Mavericks.
I know, and he wanted to stay there, and Mavericks said nope.
Right.
So
I'm just making a general point.
That's the difference in baseball. Superstar players are going to go to the bigger markets because likely they're going to get paid more money instead of staying. Paul Skeens, really, he's not staying with the Pirates. Pirates aren't going to pay him that money.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that thing the other day I saw on social media where the Pirates haven't handed out a multi-year contract to a free agent since 2016?
They're about to, though. saving up for Skeens.
Now, Paul Skeens isn't a free agent, but they haven't signed a free agent player to a multi-year deal since 2016. Now they've given contracts to like Brian Reynolds and Andrew McCutcheon, but those are players that are already on the team. So it's different from that standpoint. Is the Pirates, they're not spending money. They don't want to spend money. Dodgers will.
But the Padres did and were, what's the right word? Ridiculed? Questioned?
Yeah, but my whole argument in the NBA is that when the stars are in the bigger markets, it's better for the league.
Hold on, I'm taking a photo of something.
Oh, is it Bracketology or something?
No, it's Padres.
Oh, are they on the list?
Yeah, so the Padres, I just took a photo before that left the TV. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're tied for the 7th shortest odds at ESPN Bet right now to win the World Series.
Is everybody with the Dodgers? I see Alden Gonzalez. I bet you with the Dodgers. Jeff Passan, I'm sure he's with like the Yankees.
So remember how you just said, I think last week something came out, the win total was 82. Where was that?
Pacoda.
Well, ESPN Bet as the Padres win total at 85.5, which
that
again is a coin flip to make the postseason.
That was a number that FanDuel also put out.
Okay.
85.5.
85.5. But they're actually tied with the Houston Astros with the 7th shortest odds to win the World Series, 15-1. Now, not surprisingly, the Dodgers are the favorites to win the World Series, plus 275, so 2.7 to 1. Then Atlanta, New York, et cetera. But, forget the conversation we were just having. The conversation about the no good, very bad offseason. The Padres still have the 7th shortest odds to win the World Series?
Well, because they have superstars. And like we said yesterday, those superstar players act like it and perform,
then they'll be good.
The likelihood of them being good is a good percentage. It's I think greater than at least 50%.
Right.
That they'll be a good baseball team. If Manny and Toddy and Xander and Jackson Merrill all have like really good years.
It's interesting that 85.5 wins would be the 7th shortest odds to win the World Series. Right? Like, is that going to be the 7th best record in the sport? 85.5 wins? I would say no. But maybe because of that star power, if they get into the postseason, there'll be something there. I mean, they've proven in the postseason. One thing I'll give them credit for, they've won a good amount of series in the postseason this decade.
They've won every wild card series they've been in.
So that's how many? 3.
3.
They've won how many DSs? 1?
1.
Okay, so 4 series is actually pretty good. I mean, they've won 4 series this decade in the postseason. So they've been decent in the postseason. Yeah, they've been failures, Phillies, Dodgers, this past year. But again, it's like glass half full, glass half empty conversation you had last hour. It's like, man, it's been a bad offseason. But does the offseason necessarily stack up with what happens once the team gets on the field? Because they've had good off seasons.
I just know that in baseball, depth is everything. Just like it is in football.
Yep.
You need to have depth because guess what? Guys are going to go down.
Yep.
And it's a long season. Basketball, yes, injuries obviously play a factor in every sport, but basketball, like the Lakers right now, you take LeBron and Luca off the team, they're not good.
No, they're not. You probably take one of them off.
Actually, they are they're fine.
But they're not good to like win postseason series, right?
So like 1 or 2 stars in the NBA make a huge difference.
I agree.
1 or 2 stars in baseball doesn't really mean much unless you have good depth.
Yeah.
And
look at Toddy last year. He goes down for months.
Yeah.
And they actually, not only did they not skip a beat, they're actually better.
So the biggest concern for me has always been the depth going into this year and replacing the production that you lost. That's what baseball is. Can you replace that production that you lost and get similar production from other places for, potentially a lower cost? If, you're a team that isn't the Dodgers or the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the Padres are at. Can they get close to the same production that they lost last year? Highly doubtful. But they're going to have to try to find as many pieces as they possibly can to fill that depth because the stars can have great years. Manny could put up 40 home runs this year and they could still lose 90 games somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. That's the thing. We've kind of simplified it sometimes. Where it's like if Manny's good, they'll be good.
There is 100% a scenario.
Well, a scenario.
Yeah. Manny has a season where he hits 315, 40 home runs, and 120 RBI, and they lose 85 to 90 games because Cease and King got injured, and Tatis got injured, and Merrill had a down year. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like those
it's possible.
It's possible. But in the NBA, I mean,
if LeBron is the MVP of the league, he's not going to be 30 and 52.
Right. In what is it? NFL. If I mean, I was proven wrong this year because Joe Burrow had a fantastic season.
Yeah, and their team wasn't good.
Team wasn't good.
Yeah.
But more likely than not, if your quarterback has an amazing year,
you're 12 and 5 or better.
Look at Jaden Daniels. Rookie team, take him off the team in Washington. They suck.
They're the other team,
right,
which has been awful for 25 years. 619, kind of to your point. I think it's okay for fans to be disappointed, even recognizing that we never would have expected or imagined a $200 million payroll. The problem is that it feels like for another 10 or 20 million, they'd be a championship contender instead of a team with a bunch of holes. They're investing at a pretty high rate, but also feels like there's a garage full of Ferraris and no money to fill up the gas tanks. And then he says Peter was special. It's an interesting way to look at it. Like,
good
again,
text.
Your chips are in. You got the Mannies and the Toddies and the Merrills even, but what about what surrounds them?
No, I 100% agree with that text. That's a really good text because that's what we are sitting here kind of scratching our head about. You have a core that's really good. Why not go over the top? Why not go the extra mile? We're not asking this team to go out and spend $1 billion in the offseason to rebuild the entire roster, but to not bring back Profar for 14 mil per year, to not go out and make one move in free agency. That's
right. Your one move could have been Profar. You're right, but Kevin scoffed at that yesterday.
I know he did.
They were never, and he did write that 6 months ago.
He did.
He said they will not reach and for an Arise multi-year deal or a Profar multi-year deal. They're not in the business of giving them $14 million a year.
Yeah, I know, and that's frustrating because you're sitting here saying, as the texter said, we're a good team. They're a good team, but man, they could probably be a really, really, really good team if they just went out and spent $50 million in the offseason, but they can't. They can't afford it. So
right.
That sucks.
All right. We've got a giveaway for you coming up on the other side. Will Brinson will join us at 4. We'll give away tickets to see Australian Pink Floyd coming up next. Much more on this. Plus, Will Brinson, CBS Sports senior NFL writer on Super Bowl 59. Will join us at 4 p.m. It's Jon and Jim. AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. Will Brinson, 4 p.m. Final time, I guess, for the year, for the season.
Yeah, NFL season has come to an end, John.
It is over.
The Cancun series, I think, is this weekend.
Is that coming up? Jags, Giants?
No, it's a bracket. So you have Bengals versus Bills, and then you have in the NFC, you have the Cowboys against the Niners.
Oh, huge. How do I watch that?
Huge
Tubi?
matchups.
Tuba or
Tubi.
Fubi?
If they had a Cancun series, it would get 50 million views.
It would be huge. Yeah, if you had another like postseason, even if it was like
I know
the opposite of good teams, it would be huge.
It'd be incredible.
We're going to give away tickets to Australian Pink Floyd coming up within the next 5 minutes, so don't go anywhere. That's Sunday, August 17th, Cal Coast Credit Union Open Air Theater. Tickets at infoticketmaster.com. So Will Brinson at 4. Eagles, as we talked about yesterday, dominant. Now, again, doing it again is a whole nother thing. Of course, the Chiefs went back-to-back. Eagles will have to do it without Kellen Moore, who takes the head coaching job in New Orleans. Cynthia Freeland saying yesterday with us that if there's one team to get back that's more likely, she thought Philadelphia based on their O-line and just line play in general over Kansas City. But again, it's one thing to win one. It's another thing to get back to one. All teams that win a Super Bowl have challenges to get back, I'm sure, to win a Super Bowl. It feels as if the Eagles are set up relatively well, not perfectly well. They do have to replace their OC. I think that's significant, but it feels like they'll have a lot of their team back next year.
They just feel like they have a roster that is going to be good for the next 2-3 years minimum. I mean, their offensive weapons, best in football. You have your number 2 is, Heisman winner, all pro. That's your number 2. And he played great in the Super Bowl. Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, that offensive line.
Yeah, it's good.
It's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You get a competent OC, which I'm sure they will.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be a coveted job.
Their defense was completely redone from 2 years ago when they were awful.
They were awful last year, yeah.
Vic Fangio's not going anywhere. Cooper DeJean was one of the best rookies in football. Their line is incredible. Just watch the Super Bowl. Last night, Aaron asked me if we could watch the Super Bowl again when we ate dinner. I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. She's going to ask that every night.
I know. I would too. I told her if the Niners won, I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
So we did. We watched the first half, and actually like watching it again and knowing what was going to happen and actually like paying closer attention to the plays.
Was that much more dominant?
The Chiefs had one play in the first half, and that was the first play of the game for them. It was 11-yard pickup.
Catch. Yeah.
And everything else was
awful.
Oh, so bad. It was real. Oh my gosh.
I know they even looking back on it again had what at the time seemed like a very consequential like benefit, the OPI against, was it AJ Brown on a 4th down, what could have set up a touchdown on the first drive of the game. And they actually benefited from that. Kansas City, they get the ball. Philadelphia punts it away. And it was like the only thing that went right.
And truthfully, the Chiefs defense for the first quarter and a half were fine. They were good.
Yeah, it wasn't their fault.
They held them to 10 points, and the offense was the part of the equation that wasn't doing anything. And then it just all completely collapsed for the Chiefs when Mahomes threw that pick 6.
Yeah, not just not doing anything. The offense, Kansas City's offense scored more points in the first half than the Eagles' offense. Kind of pick 6 plus a pick at your own 12. I mean, you gave them.
Eagles had
14 points.
Eagles had more points than Chiefs had yards in the first half. Think about that.
The Chiefs didn't have 24 yards in the first half.
Total, no, because you count the sacks.
Yeah.
Like, no, they didn't.
That's pathetic.
They had, I think, 23, and the Eagles had 24 points at the half.
And everyone's like, Dynasty's over. Maybe not. I mean, maybe
Mahomes is 30 years old.
Maybe this lights like a fire under Mahomes, and they come back even stronger. And it is Andy Reid, who's this brilliant play caller. I mean, so yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe it's true. Maybe Buffalo next year is better than Kansas City. Maybe Baltimore is. Maybe Pittsburgh, whomever, or maybe not. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's Okay, they were beaten soundly, but do you now all of a sudden just count them out? I mean, there's a lot of people taking the victory lap, right? Like just nationally, like it's over, Dynasty done.
Yeah.
Maybe, and they might be right, and they might not be.
And this could, in the long run, be one of the best things that could happen to Mahomes. I know losing a Super Bowl is not considered a good thing, but if you win this Super Bowl, maybe take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit. Right. I don't know. Maybe this, incentivizes the Chiefs to change things up. Like, hey, this needs to be different because the last couple of years we haven't been good on offense. And to be truthful, we're probably lucky to at least have one Super Bowl under our belt the last couple of years. So maybe this does change the way that the Chiefs operate and knowing like, okay, we got to get better weapons around Patrick. We need to make sure that line's better. We can't just have Patrick be hero ball, in the moments that we need him to be in the postseason.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the fact that they got to the Super Bowl this year,
you just look at their numbers
and you just look at the scores of these games, and some of the things that they benefited from, like in the AFC title game against Buffalo, the drop at the goal line,
first game of the year, Isaiah Likely, his pinky toe.
Right.
On his foot.
Yeah, it was out of bounds.
Out of bounds. The rest of the game's tied.
How likely was that?
Not very. Not very.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, the fact that they were even in the Super Bowl, like, if you play that season out 100 times, I feel like they're not in it a lot.
No 4,000-yard passer, no 1,000-yard rusher, no 1,000-yard receiver. They averaged 22 points per game.
I mean, shoot, the Broncos beat them 38-0.
Their defense was really good, but it wasn't an all-time defense. They still gave up almost 20 points a game on defense.
Yeah, which is
good. Top 10 in the league. But it's one of the things that's funny that I saw last night rewatching the game.
Yeah.
And you should have known when they showed this stat on the screen that this game might be lopsided. They showed a stat of the Eagles after they started 2-2. And since that moment, when they started 2-2 this year,
they go 17-1.
They went 15-1. And they had the highest point differential in the league. And their defense was by far and away the best in the league. They scored the most points, the best point differential, the best defense, most takeaways, like all of it. And I'm like thinking to myself, rewatching it, man,
maybe this makes sense.
This makes sense now.
This is predictable.
This makes sense.
Knowing how it played out.
How good the Eagles were and how, I'm not going to say the Chiefs were average, but they weren't that.
Right.
Their record was that, but all the other little numbers that you look at did not equate to a 15-1 season for the Chiefs. I'm not going to count the last game because they didn't play anybody, but you know what I mean? Chiefs won 15-1.
But it wasn't the same as the Eagles 15-1.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly. Not all things are equal.
Yeah.
All right, call right now if you want 2 free tickets to see Australian Pink Floyd. Call right now, 877-767-4760. First caller, you're going Sunday, August 17th. Cal Coast Credit Union Open Air Theater. For tickets and info, go to Ticketmaster.com. It's on campus at SDSU. Call right now, 877-767-4760. You're going. First caller, 2 free tickets, Australian Pink Floyd, August 17th. Cal Coast Credit Union Open Air Theater. Tickets and info, Ticketmaster.com. 877-767-4760. Will Brinson, CBS Sports NFL writer, joins us next.
All right, this update's brought to you by Staples Stores. San Diego State takes on San Jose State tonight on the road up in the Bay Area. 8 p.m. tip, 7 p.m. pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. Big news is San Jose State's top scorer, Josh Aduje. He's out tonight for the Spartans with a back injury. NFL news of the day, Saints made it official. They hired Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to be their next head coach. And Padres news of the day, they also made it official. Jason Hayward signing for a 1-year, $1 million deal. And this update's been brought to you by Staples.
Previously on Jon and Jim.
From a Padres fan or season ticket member perspective, the way this team has drawn, the way this organization has been supported, to see an offseason go like this, how could you say it's anything other than disappointing? Nobody envisioned the lawsuit. I guess we envisioned Hiroki. You get your hopes up, which is natural. Jerkson Profar has a career year. He walks.
That doesn't mean you should not be excited for Padres baseball. And B, that this team can't win a bunch of baseball games, because they absolutely can't.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego, Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 3 of Jon and Jim. We're putting a bow on Super Bowl 59. I mean, the Eagles put the bow on that game like 10 minutes in, but we're still putting a bow on it. Will Brinson has been great to the show throughout the course of this 2024 NFL season. He's back with us right now on Jon and Jim, senior NFL writer at CBS Sports. So, Will, we're all like digesting it now. It's been 2 days. Like, now that you have the benefit of the hindsight and the perspective and you've thought on it, like, what impressed you most with the way the Eagles performed on Sunday night?
I mean, it's got to be the defense, right? Like, I mean, I know that's like sort of a wholesale thing, but I mean, they basically forced Patrick Mahomes into playing the worst game of his career, and they did it without blitzing, which I think is the most amazing part. You know, they knew they had some advantages on the offensive line. They took massive advantage of those advantages, and, you know, got pressure with 4 guys up front. And then I think, you know, the fact that there was no counter from Andy Reid that worked against the Eagles defense, as the Eagles, you know, took advantage of the short fields. You know, the Chiefs defense stepped up and you know, stopped the run pretty well. And the Eagles still were able to do enough on offense. Did plenty on offense, right? Jalen Hurts had a nice game. I mean, I think, you know, I wrote about how, you know, Hurts was MVP, and that's great, and I have no problem with it. But I think you could have easily made a case that, you know, one of the defenders should have been MVP. You know, you sort of look at the Russell Wilson, Seahawks, Broncos Super Bowl, and, you know, aside from the rushing touchdown, you know, Hurts fairly compares pretty well to that. And not that he played poorly or anything, right? But the defense was just so freaking good. And I think, you know, we maybe underestimated just how good that defense was. They lost one time after their bye, and the defense was the best in football. Did we, you know, fairly, I guess, assume that, or maybe unfairly assume that Patrick Mahomes would just figure it out? And I mean, they absolutely put him in a body bag, and they did it in a way that the score doesn't even really suggest. 40-22 is you know, a blowout, but it was much, much worse than that, because all the Chiefs production was in garbage time.
You know, yeah, Patrick had the worst game of his career. All of us were saying, well, we can't bet against Patrick Mahomes going into the game. Yeah. And then now we see what happened. For you, does he kind of take a hit here? I mean, are you going to not think like, oh, I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes because of what we saw on Sunday? Or do you think that's kind of just like an outlier? Oh my God, the line and he played a bad game and the Eagles just had one of those like incredible moments on defense?
Well, I think the answer is kind of twofold, right? One, you know, I think, and I read about this during, you know, right after the Super Bowl, but I don't think we can make these Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes comparisons anymore, for at least for right now. You know, I think we have to like I would say pull the parking brake. Right? You go 60 miles an hour, yank the parking brake up like an old school car, and really just kind of stop with those, because I can't fathom a world in which Tom Brady would lose, you know, a Super Bowl that badly. Even the ones he lost, you know, were close against the Giants. And then, of course, he was down 28-3 to the Falcons and figured out a way to come back, even when, you know, they were maybe overmatched by a better roster like the Chiefs were in this one. And now we have 2 different games in which the offensive line for the Chiefs has been bad. Mahomes was pretty good or actually maybe very good in the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers a few years ago that they lost to Tom Brady, which doesn't help his case either. And the offensive line just missing the tackles. The Bucs got pressure. Defense played great. Brady was good. Was very good in that Super Bowl too. I just think you have these two blowout Super Bowls, and it definitely takes gives a hit to your not to your legacy, but just to comparing you to Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback to ever do it. Like the GOAT conversation certainly has to be paused. As for never like betting against Mahomes, I still think we saw that after the Tampa Bay Super Bowl. They knew they had to go out and improve the offensive line, and they did it. They signed Joe Tooney to a huge deal, draft Creed Humphrey, trade for Orlando Brown. I would expect, and they don't have as much maneuverability this time around just because of contracts and all that. But I would expect that we see something similar, at least in terms of the Chiefs saying, all right, this is what cost us in the biggest moment. We need to try to figure it out. They're going to be there every year as long as they have Mahomes, because he's good enough to win 10, 12, 14 plus games every single season. They can still use that formula to get home field advantage, get the bye, get to the Super Bowl. But, again, like I know Brady lost 2. I just don't see a situation where Tom Brady gets bludgeoned multiple times in his career in the Super Bowl. And I think that does alter the perception a little bit.
It's interesting you say that. Will Brinson with us right now, senior writer, CBS Sports. So the 2 Giants losses, right, for Brady, which were close games, obviously. And then that 500-yard game with Philadelphia, right?
Didn't punt one time.
That crazy game where everyone scored 1 million points are the 3 losses for Tom Brady. But what I was going to ask is, weren't there kind of like,
he lost to the Eagles too, obviously, but that wasn't really like a defense.
Yeah, exactly. Where he threw for 500
yeah.
yards in that, whenever that was. But
Nick Foles just went ham, and
they both went ham, truthfully. But when I think about Brady's career, like it was kind of like 2 acts, right? Because you had the early career when he was in the Super Bowl a lot, and then there was like a 7-year run where he made like 1 Super Bowl, but then there was that late career surge. Do you see this differently? As in, like you just said, I mean, Mahomes is going to fall out of bed with Andy Reid winning 11, 12 games. They can win in the postseason. Like, are they going to keep getting to the Super Bowl at this absurd clip, or could there be a lull? Like, was something figured out? Has the AFC potentially caught up? Is it going to be Cincinnati's turn and Buffalo's turn and Baltimore's turn? Or how do you see this playing out over the next 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, you could even argue that. You could definitely argue that Tom Brady you could chop his career up into 3 different sections,
right?
And all 3 of them would get him into you could put 3 different guys in the Hall of Fame with his 3 careers. Mahomes can certainly have that. Like losing this, it doesn't derail anything, but I do think there is maybe a little bit of a difference in terms of one. I mean, you're asking a lot for someone to have the longevity that Tom Brady had, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that is a long time to play quarterback at a really high level. And, Brady's first section of his career, he certainly had big games, but he was more of a, game manager, sort of, win with defense, win with running. Tom is clutch on 3rd down and in big moments. And then, circa 2007, post Spygate, they started just piling up points. And then they re-engineered the defense, for that second wave of Super Bowl run. So I think, putting all that together is tough, but I do think the Chiefs are sustainable. They have Mahomes, they have Reid, as long as he wants to coach. Reid older than Bill Belichick was in that second wave of success, but I think he can hang around and be fine. He enjoys it. He loves the game. Steve Spagnuolo is a key there. The retention amongst the coaches is critical. But I think to the point about the AFC, I don't know if they necessarily caught up. I just think, we talk about, like I was on here, I'm picking the Bills. I think it's the Bills' time. And Josh Allen doesn't win it. Mm-hmm. But Josh Allen isn't going anywhere, right? Lamar Jackson isn't going anywhere. Justin Herbert is there in that division. Bo Nix just came on the scene with Sean Payton. And Herbert has Jim Harbaugh, I think, which matters a lot. C.J. Stroud is still there, and hung kind of close with the Chiefs as well. So there's just a lot of talent, and I'm skipping over various teams, but there's just a lot of talent in that AFC. And so I do think, navigating that path to the Super Bowl, it's not like it's gonna, it's not like we're gonna see guys sort of fall by the wayside. I think there's probably more obstacles for Mahomes and Reed and the Chiefs just in terms of elite quarterbacks than maybe there were for even, Brady, who eventually had to deal with Peyton Manning coming to the AFC. Joe Flacco had his elite run, of course. The Ravens were always a problem, but they were sort of built differently. You had Phillip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger, but just in terms of like guys who are on the same level as Mahomes, or on the same level as I don't know that none of those guys are on the same level as Brady. I think you can make the case at least that, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, from a talent perspective, are on that same level, and they've certainly taken them to the edge. So yeah, I think, I don't think it's at the end of the Chiefs run or anything like that, but it wouldn't shock me at all if they went, a couple of, you go 2 or 3 years without making the Super Bowl. That happens to even, or winning the Super Bowl, that happens to even the greatest teams like the Patriots.
And I think you have to put the Eagles in that conversation now too, even if if the Chiefs get back to the Super Bowl, because I mean, looking at this Eagles team here, Will, they're so talented. And you look at the talent level, and it's like, oh, first-year guy, second-year guy, Cooper DeJean, like what? Like Jalen Carter, like the way that Howie Roseman has drafted and built this team doesn't really feel like this is a one-and-done type of thing for the Eagles.
Yeah, not at all. And I think you also have to take into account the possibility that Jalen Hurts gets better as a passer because, he's definitely a top 10 quarterback and, now has the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP. I'm not knocking him, but I mean, he could even elevate his game. We've seen plenty of players do that in the past. And I think to the Howie Roseman stuff, I'm so blown away by the fact that they lose Jason Kelce, who's a Hall of Fame center, like first ballot Hall of Fame center, and Fletcher Cox, who's a borderline Hall of Fame defensive tackle, literally the backbone of your offense and your defense and your locker room and all of that. And they replace them with guys who play at a high level and are young and going to keep this team around. The Eagles are absolutely here to stay. They're just, Saquon Barkley, I don't think maybe he has a drop off from this year, but should still continue to be dominant behind that offensive line. Hurts had a fantastic regular season, and you have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Dallas got a little bit older, I guess now, but I mean, Howie Roseman's shown Zach Ertz was the guy before, right? And he drafts Dallas Goedert, replaces him. Howie Roseman's forethought into preparing this roster for eventual attrition, whether it be at quarterback with Carson Wentz and then drafting Jalen Hurts, tight end with Ertz and Goddard, restocking the receiver room via trade and then via drafting Devontae Smith when some of the picks like Jalen Reagor or Justin Jefferson didn't work out. Getting offensive linemen to replace the guys you're going to lose, defensive linemen. It's just a marvelous job of preparing for the sort of issues you're going to have to deal with in a salary cap NFL world. And they're so young on defense. You have to think Vic Fangio wants to hang around unless he gets offered a head coaching job. And they should be able to find guys who, offensively can run this system that Nick Sirianni's designed. So yeah, Eagles should be certainly the favorite to come out of the NFC again in 2025.
Speaking of Nick Sirianni, I mean, we're going to fire this dude after week 5. Like it was like, what is this clown doing? He's yelling at fans. He's yelling. I mean, it's like, oh, this guy's going to get fired this year. Now he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. How do you I guess fully evaluate Nick Sirianni as a head coach? Because he doesn't call plays on defense or offense. He's kind of like, a Dion, John Harbaugh type where he's just kind of like managing everything. Where do you put Nick Sirianni now that he's a Super Bowl winning head coach?
Yeah, maybe put him in, sort of look at like Harbaugh the first time around where you get great results, but you're kind of crazy and you're young and brash and, can rub people the wrong way. I mean, he was absolutely on a hot seat coming off of the disaster into 2023. I mean, there was a chance he wasn't going to be retained. People were chatting about like Belichick to Philly, like could that work? And then they go out and win the Super Bowl. It's a heck of a job coaching by him, and he comes from a head coaching tree, like working with Frank Reich, worked with Phillip Rivers and in the Chargers before. He's got a pretty good pedigree. I think he's just such like a perfect Philly jabroni that one, it fits, and then like two, it's easy from a distance to be like, this guy is an absolute goober yelling at fans and being insane, but he clearly, knows how to get the locker room together, is a fiery leader. And typically we see these guys kind of mellow out a little bit as they get older. And so like I think we have to get. I mean, you have to put him in that upper echelon of coaches. He won a Super Bowl. He beat Mahomes and Reed.
That's right.
It's wild.
Straight up, and it's hard not to give him his credit because of that.
I mean, think about, by the way, like across sports, Ryan Day, the improbabilities of how that played out. Nick Sirianni, the beauty of sports, man.
They both suck, but they both won titles.
Like Ryan Day, like this guy, like his kids couldn't go to school. They were like vilified in school because they can't beat Michigan.
I think too, it's a football thing.
Yeah.
Specifically, we see it in basketball and baseball as well. But I think in football, because like the small sample, it's such a small sample size where
it's like one game
a week we're judging these guys. Like the Ohio State fans, all of a sudden it was 4 teams left. You're like, man, Ohio State is clearly the best team. They're gonna win. They're gonna win this thing. And 4 weeks ago, Ohio State fans wanted nothing to do with Ryan Day ever again, simply because of what happened to his team against a rival in a game he really shouldn't have lost. Right? It's crazy. Same thing with Sirianni. You lose down the stretch in 2023, and people want you out of there.
It's crazy. Will, we really appreciate it, man. You've been terrific for our listeners here in San Diego all season long. We've enjoyed having you on. We hope to do it again here in 2025. But thanks as always for joining us, and congrats on getting through another football season.
Thanks, Will.
Absolutely, guys. Awesome season with you guys, and talk to you soon.
All right, look forward to it. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBS Sports, brought to you all season long by Humul Casino. 7 restaurants, thrilling games. The sports pub voted San Diego's best. Humul Casino is fun above all else. We'll get to the wrap. Coming up, we've got Aztec basketball tickets to give away. Mark Ziegler's on the show at 5:30. Jon and Jim. All right, so what could you do with an extra $75,000 like right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey guys, it is Schaefer. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out, paid off all their credit cards, a couple of car loans, personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 619-207-4336. Get the money you need for anything. 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. right, make sure to download the all-new iHeartRadio app with brand new presets. You can put Jon and Jim in the presets, listen on demand, San Diego Sports 760, listen to the show live. So download the all-new iHeartRadio app. We'll get to the wrap, Jim, at 4:30.
Okay.
Bracketologist at 5, so you can go get tacos.
Oh, I'm bailing that.
This is, by the way, I know you are.
I only talk to top 3 bracketologists in the country. This is number 4. Right. I'm sorry.
I joked when you were gone last week, Jon, that we should have a bracketologist on every week every day since that you were gone.
That would have been amazing.
No, but since we won't know what to ask them, we would just listen to your previous interview and just copy all of the questions that you asked.
That's a really good idea.
It's too much work, though.
How about this? The latest bracketology update from our 5 p.m. bracketologist, DJ Bauer. I just put it into a word counter.
Oh, really?
He wrote 12,000 words. Do you know how many words 12,000 is? It's
12,000.
But like Jeff Passan, when he writes, is like, how Shohei Ohtani shocked the world.
That's still only like 5.
It's only like 5. Exactly. And like with all his big words.
Like 12,000.
Yeah, with all the big words. So anyway, 12,000 words. Yeah, that's how you get to be a top 4 bracketologist.
Did you read every single one of them?
No. But I went to the San Diego.
If you had a podcast that was,
I'd listen. You want to see my podcast listens here recently? It's all bracketology.
Let me see. Of course it is.
Let me see.
You're a psycho.
What am I listening to right now?
Yeah. What do you got?
Latest episode.
Open up the iHeartRadio app. Show me what you got.
Well, that's for another day. All right.
Okay.
So anyway, we've got a bracketologist at 5, Mark Ziegler at 5:30. We only have a couple of minutes here. I wanted to touch on tonight. You've been saying it in the update. So Josh Aduje, who was a really good player at Utah State, 6th man of the year last year in the Mountain West. He's at San Jose State. He's a really good scorer. He's out. Mm-hmm. Reportedly, according to John Rothstein, he averages 16.5 points. In the game at Viejas 2 weeks ago, I don't know if you were watching this game, seriously, he scored the first 14 points. He was 4 for 4 from 3, like 2 minutes into the game. He's out.
Good.
So the point remains the point, whether he's playing or not. You have to win this game. The rest we can discuss. They don't have to win every game they play. I'm going to stand by that. To get into the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to be really good. Tonight, they have to win. There's no other way to look at it. Now, if they don't win, there's the Mountain West tournament, yada, yada. But I just don't see it. If you do not win tonight, your at-large chances are basically over. Maybe that's too simplified, but it's hard to imagine you lose tonight and then you're beating New Mexico and Utah State and Boise State.
Yeah, last week when you were gone, I said the 4-game stretch here that they have was Colorado State, San Jose State, Boise, and Fresno.
Yep. You needed 3?
You need 3 and 1. And if you're looking at games that you'd want to drop, or at least in the, like, you don't want to drop this one, you can't drop the Fresno State one. The Colorado State, Utah State games at the coin flip for me.
The Colorado State in this 4-game stretch?
Yeah.
Yeah, not Utah State because they're not in this.
Sorry,
Boise State at home?
Sorry, Boise State, my bad. Yeah. I would have chosen Colorado State because losing another home game.
Right.
Or losing on the road.
Take the road, you're right.
To San Jose State.
Yep.
Or Fresno State at home. Like, that can't happen.
Right.
If you're choosing one of the games of the next 4, when I talked about it, I probably would have chosen Colorado State. If you had to drop one.
If you had to lose one, you would take that one. I get it.
And that's just where they're at now, is they put themselves in a position. You would have loved to almost stole that game. So then you have wiggle room. But then you can't really have much wiggle room, because if you lose to San Jose State, that still really hurts you, maybe more than a Colorado State loss.
Good point.
Really so good point. You gotta, the next 3 are so crucial. It's like breaking your season up into the segment of 4 games. Like, can we go 3-1 here? Can we go 4-0 here? And they're now in a position where they can't afford to lose any of these next 3, in my opinion.
I mean, I was sitting there courtside of Viejas, and they're down 31-10 to San Jose State.
Somehow won by what, double digits?
No.
Oh, no,
they
won
by 3.
It was right.
They survived a 3-point miss.
They came back, and it was crazy.
They used an 18-0 run.
Yeah.
They were down 16 in the second half, 21 in the first half. So this is no gimme pushover formality. San Jose State beat New Mexico this year. New Mexico is 11-1 in the league, or 12-1. So it's not a pushover. Yes, San Jose State is without a very good player and a very good scorer, but I don't even care. Regardless of whether he's playing or not, you just have to win this game, get back home, live to fight another day, so to speak.
And Josh Aduje had 21 points against the Aztecs in the last meeting.
I can't believe it's only 21 because he scored their first 14.
So you are now going up against a team without that. You got to win tonight.
Have to. Pre-game coverage will begin at 7. Ted Leitner on the call at 8. San Diego State and San Jose State. From Northern California, Mark Ziegler will be on the show at 5:30. DJ Bauer, our bracketologist of the week, will join us at 5 p.m. On the other side, we'll get to the wrap. We've got Aztec basketball tickets to give away later this hour as well. Jon and Jim.
This update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. San Diego State takes on San Jose State tonight up in the Bay Area. 8 p.m. tip time. 7 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. We just talked about it. San Jose State's top scorer this year, Josh Aduje. He is out tonight for the Spartans. He scored 21 points in the previous meeting between San Diego State and San Diego State. Luca made his debut last night for the Lakers as they blew out the Jazz. He scored 14 points. Had 5 assists, 4 rebounds in the win. And NFL news of the day, Saints made it official. They hired Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to be their next head coach. And the Padres made it official, signing Jason Hayward to a 1-year, $1 million contract. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscriptions ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
We have Aztec tickets for a week from tonight. That's next Tuesday night against Fresno State. And we'll give those away coming up in about 10 minutes. So be listening for those. Mark Ziegler will join us at 5:30. DJ Bauer, number 4 bracketologist in the world, Jim, will join us coming up at 5 p.m. Now, we typically get to the wrap around 4, but we didn't. So let's get to it now.
Okay.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Is tonight a must-win game for the Aztecs?
Oh, great question.
Very good.
Yes, it is. It's a 100% must win. If they don't win, the only shot for them to make the tournament is winning the Mountain West Conference tournament. So winning tonight is a must.
I would call it a must-win game.
It's a must-win game.
Next question.
Should the Lakers be the favorite in the West now that they've added Luca?
I don't think they should be the favorites, but they should be taken very seriously in the West. You tell me right now in a playoff series between the Rockets and the Lakers, anybody's picking the Rockets? Tell me in a series with the Thunder and the Lakers can't make it interesting? They absolutely can. Games against the Nuggets. Who else is in the West that is Memphis? I mean, if Luca gets fully healthy and the rest of the team stays healthy, Austin Reeves he has like blossomed here recently. Yeah, they have no size. I get it. But if you have a fully healthy Luca with LeBron playing the way he's playing, he's going to be able to take his foot off the gas a little bit now with Luca's in the driver's seat. They're a scary team.
Yeah, they're absolutely a scary team. I mean, Luca's one of the best players in the world when healthy. He was in the NBA Finals last year. You've just paired him with LeBron James. Like, I don't care who your center is. You have Luka Doncic and LeBron James in a playoff. It's just like any type of series. Yeah. That's when it starts getting scary. Now, again, there's other good teams. Sure, but Oklahoma City obviously has had this amazing year. So it's not like they're going to be a pushover, but
Dallas made it last year.
Favorite? If it was the Western Conference Finals, the Lakers have gotten there. They're taking on the top seed Oklahoma City. My guess is Vegas would say LA is a favorite to win the series.
It would depend on how they got there. Like
maybe.
If Luca and LeBron are playing out of their minds, then yeah, I think they could be favorites in some areas in Vegas. But like Luca carried the Mavs to the finals last year with Kyrie by his side.
Yep.
Now he has LeBron by his side. Mm-hmm. And I just think they're a scary basketball team, and credit to JJ Redick. He's not getting much right now because he, over the last 15 games, whatever he's doing is working, and they are playing some great basketball.
Next question.
I'll paraphrase this arena house. Who's going to be the top pick in the NFL draft?
I see a lot of Abdul Carter talk. He might be the best player in the draft overall. It's hard to think it won't be a quarterback, right? Tennessee,
I think it's a quarterback.
Tennessee needs a quarterback. Now, do they believe in Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders to make them the number 1 pick? I don't know. I think I'll just go with Shedeur. I don't know. I just go with Shedeur.
I think it'll be Shedeur Sanders. I know right now he's projected as one of the top 2 quarterbacks, like you said, with Cam Ward, maybe one of the top 3 players with Abdul Carter. There's just going to be so much hype around this player. I mean, obviously. like his stock has skyrocketed. You think about his college career from Jackson State with his dad to the way it played out the last couple of years at Colorado. I just think ultimately, for whatever reason, I don't know if he's going to be the best player, but I think ultimately he's going to go number 1 overall, which is kind of crazy to imagine. But I think ultimately he goes number 1 overall. So I'll say Shedeur Sanders. Next question.
What are your expectations for Jason Hayward in a Padres uniform?
Play baseball?
Yeah, he should.
I mean,
At least a couple times.
I don't have too of high expectations for him. I really don't. I think. What, you want numbers? Like, I don't know.
Dude, yes. Just
Okay.
anything you want.
220, 12
do you
home
expect it to be
runs,
good or bad?
40 RBI. I'm expecting
What was it?
220, 12 home runs, 40 RBI. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going with what he's kind of did close to last year, right?
So last year, he was 211, 12 homers, 37 RBIs. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll take actually the over. I'll say he hits 239, but I'll say 239, 10, and 41. And then carries the Padres in the playoffs. And lifts them to a World Series run. I think 11 home runs in the regular season, 11 more in the postseason for Hayward.
I will buy a jersey if that happens.
I'll
buy 2 jerseys.
It's in the cart, dude.
I'll buy every jersey of Jason Hayward if that happens.
And how many home runs will Hayward and Joe combine for in the postseason? If Hayward's going to hit 11, they might hit 20.
All of them.
20 postseason home runs for just Connor, Joe, and Jason Hayward.
The new Bash Bros.
I don't have any expectations for Jason Hayward.
Me neither. I don't.
So I'll be pleasantly surprised
you know
when
what?
he has 2 hits on opening day.
I'm not going to put any expectation on Jason Hayward at all.
No, I don't think most people will.
0. Whatever they can give him, great. But if he goes out there and turns into a black hole in the lineup, then bye-bye. No expectations. That's not, it'd be stupid to put any expectations on Jason Hayward this year and Connor Joe, because they're not even close to as important as Xander and Manny and Tatis and Merrill
That's true.
and Luis Ariz.
The one thing he does, Jason Hayward, is he makes a lineup on paper, be like, oh,
Right.
Because
Yeah.
you've seen this guy in baseball for 15 years and he's been on good teams. He's been productive. So you put him in a lineup with names, Machado, Bogarts, right? Toddy.
Like I
You're
said,
like, oh, yeah, it's a deep lineup.
dude, like I said yesterday,
Yeah.
look at that lineup. Every single player besides their DH was an all-star at one point in their career.
Right. So like this projected lineup of Luis Ariz, Fernando
All-star.
Tatis Jr.,
All-star.
Manny,
All-star.
Jackson,
All-star.
Xander,
All-star.
Crony,
All-star.
Connor Joe.
San Diegan.
He wasn't an all-star, right?
No, he wasn't.
Hayward,
All-star.
Diaz, the catcher.
All-star MVP.
I mean, you say it like on paper. I mean, Ariz, Tatis, Machado, Merrill is incredible.
That's why they play the games, John.
And then, but I mean, it just sounds nice. Like Jason Hayward. Oh yeah,
Yeah, give me 15 years ago, Jason Hayward.
it would be great.
So
yeah, I'm
Jason
with you.
Hayward is the longest tenured player on the Padres now at 15 years.
Dude, he's one of the longest tenured position players in baseball.
Came back in 2010.
How many players, position players, like Kershaw is more, how many position players have more service time than Hayward?
Ooh, Kershaw?
That's what I'm saying, but position players,
Oh,
not Trout, right?
no.
So like that's how old he is. And that's how long he's been around.
15.
There's not a lot. There's a few that have 15 years. When did
yeah,
Freeman break in? Like a year after Hayward?
Maybe. I don't know.
So, I mean, 15 years is not, it's a lot. It's doing work. Although Manny might have 15 years.
No, he doesn't.
14,
No.
13. 12.
No. Actually,
Yes,
I
he
have it
does.
right here. Hold on.
Manny's got 13 years.
Hold on.
Give me
I
a
got it.
break.
No.
Give me a break. Manny's service time. How much service time does Manny have?
His service time is 12 years.
Thank you.
You Darvish, 12 years. Sorry, Martin Maldonado has more service time
Oh,
than
yeah.
Manny Machado.
Does he have
Wow.
more than Hayward?
No. Jason Hayward, 15 years on the nose.
That's amazing.
You Darvish, 12. Martin Maldonado, 12. Manny, 12. Xander, 11. Elias Diaz, 8.
Can you read all players in the 40-man roster?
Yeah, do you want to know where Brandon Lockridge is
Yeah.
at?
How much? 28 days.
30 days.
Yeah. Thank you.
What about
don't
Trenton
care.
Brooks? He has more.
I've never heard of him.
He has more more service time than Brandon
I have more
Lockridge.
service time than these.
Hold on,
guys.
stop. How much service time do you think Forrest Wall has?
The same amount as people listening to this show right now.
124.
All right, call right now.
Days.
Call right now if you want 2 free tickets to see the Aztecs 1 week from tonight at Viejas Arena against Fresno State. There's only 4 home games remaining? I think I have that right. Something like 4 home games remaining. Tickets at goaztecs.com. If you want 2 free tickets to see the Aztecs and Fresno State a week from tonight, call 877-767-4760. First 2 callers will be contestants for Trainwreck Radio or Trivia. Call right now, 877-767-4760. We'll play for Aztec tickets coming up next. 619, Jim with his Hayward jersey, John with his Mitch Moreland jersey. All right, John and
Mitchie two bags.
John and Jim back with you. What year
You
was
loved
that?
him.
I still do.
He did nothing.
We probably have a better year in left than this option.
I wonder what Mitch Moreland is doing right now. He's not in baseball.
No, I mean, he might be working.
Selling insurance or something?
No, dude, got a good career. Put some respect on.
Yeah, did he win a
Mitch
World Series? My bad. Sorry.
I mean,
Right?
Mitch Moreland, speaking of like Hall of Fame candidates, I'm kidding. He had some service time.
How many times was he an All-Star?
One time.
Seriously?
2018 Red Sox.
Wow. So he won a World Series.
Yeah, he did. Won a World Series.
Cool.
Anyway, we'll have DJ Bauer, our bracketologist of the week, coming up at 5 p.m. Jim can go get food.
Thanks.
At 5:30, Mark Ziegler. Jim can go get food.
I'll just be off for the next hour.
Yeah, and
John
then
can
we
take
do-
it from here.
We have Jim's back page. We're giving away Aztec tickets for next Tuesday night in a moment. We've got another giveaway for you in the 5 o'clock hour. So here until 6.
You want to go till 7 instead? And then
Well, I
just
am.
roll
I'm
right.
going
Just,
on midnight.
no, just roll right into pregame at 7. You can do that, and then just go halftime and postgame. You can be here till we can just do content through midnight.
Do you have any
We'll be done
idea?
before midnight.
Do you have any idea how easy you have it? Yeah, you work the 20 straight hour week. But do you have any idea how easy you have it? Like, think about that. How many more hours a year am I here than how many more hours am I here than you? Hundreds.
Well, okay,
Yes, now I get paid to do it.
very misleading because yes,
Very
you get paid to do
Right,
that, and
right.
you are the pre and post game host for San Diego State basketball. And oh, by
Right.
the way, you are now the play-by-play voice of San Diego State Aztec football, which you get paid to do as well.
That's what I'm saying. But you could just hang out with me. Just hang.
In what world would I just hang?
Tell Aaron I'm just gonna hang with Shay
Nah,
for the studio.
no, I don't think that's gonna.
It's not gonna go.
It's not gonna go over well. She's like, "Are you getting paid?" No, I'm just hanging out. What are you doing there? I'm just hanging out.
Dude, you don't get paid anyway. You
That's
get
true.
paid for this part of your day.
Not really.
All right, let's get to it.
Very little.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Terry and Steve. Terry, you called in first. You have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
John.
Smart.
All right. Terry gets John. Steve, you get Jim. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. Brent, what's the question of the day?
All right, guys, the NFL postseason is over. Did you know that this postseason there was 6 quarterbacks that threw for 500 or more passing yards? Today's question: name those 6 quarterbacks in this year's postseason that threw for at least 500 or more passing yards.
All right. Steve, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I am going to say Josh Allen.
Joshua Allen.
Well done.
On the list. Terry, you're up next. What is your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
How many? 500 or 600 yards?
500.
500, and there's 6 quarterbacks that did it in
Yep.
the postseason.
That's right.
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
On the list.
Yep.
Steve, you're up next. What's your second guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'm going to say, I'm going to go with the lifeline.
Lifeline. That's me. Yeah.
That's you, Jim.
Jaden Daniels. Do you take that?
Yes, I will.
Look at
There you
you,
go.
Jim.
Yeah. Terry, you're up next. What's your next guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Okay, let's see. Heck, I'll take Hurts.
Jalen Hurts in 4 games. Did throw
Super
for
Bowl
500 yards.
MVP. Steve, back to you. What's your final guess? You don't have a lifeline, so it's all up to you.
Okay, I'm going to say, I will go with John Brody.
John Brody. John Brody was not. It was John Brody, dude. All right, Terry, you can walk off here, right? Terry needs a correct answer. Jim,
What was that?
You need a correct answer to win. Now, John Brody's been guessed, but you need a correct answer. All right.
I'm done. My phone reception's a little weird. How about Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson for the win. No! And we're going to overtime.
Oh, God. Really?
Oh my gosh.
All right. What's the deal here with overtime?
How overtime is going to work is I'm going to ask you another question. When I'm done asking that question, you're going to yell out the name of your partner today, either John or Jim. Don't yell out your name. You're going to yell the name of your partner. Whoever yells out the name of their partner first, you are either going to win the game by getting the question right, or you're going to lose the game by getting the question wrong. Do you guys got it?
Got it. Yes.
Hold on. I mean,
I got one. Here we go.
put one in. Oh, yeah. All right.
Okay, guys. Today's overtime question. Who was Super Bowl MVP?
Terry.
I heard two.
All right. You meant John, Terry?
Yeah, sorry,
All
John.
right. Who's the Super Bowl MVP?
Me?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts.
Correct. Boom. Ball game over. Terry wins. Was it Hurts that won or did John Brody? All right. John Brody.
So
he didn't play in this year's postseason, right?
John Brody is 89 years old.
He played with the Niners, didn't he?
He played for the Niners from 1957 to 1973.
Did he throw for 500 yards in the postseason? Probably.
He was the MVP in 1970.
Yeah, it's been a while.
He's a two-time Pro Bowler. He's a three-time NFL passing yards leader. So maybe one of those years he did have 500 yards in the postseason.
Oh my gosh. So good.
He made the College Football Hall of Fame.
Who do we miss on this list?
Besides John Brody.
Yeah.
See, we only missed two, Matt Stafford and CJ Stroud. Are the two that you missed.
Terry, congratulations. You won that slugfest. You'll be seeing the Aztecs take on Fresno State a week from tonight at Viejas Arena. Tickets at goaztecs.com. We've had some good guesses here in recent weeks.
Oh my goodness.
With Claude Gilbert, who's the all-time leader in passing yards?
John Brody.
Yeah, John Brody and Claude Gilbert.
I get it. When you're in those moments, you're on the spot, and the first thing you think of is what comes to your head. Apparently, it was John Brody.
For some reason, when you just said that, when you're in that, everyone's been in that spot, like deer in headlights. What do I say? I always go back to Miss Universe.
Yeah, I remember. I know.
How would you make the world better?
Oh yeah,
Nigeria and stuff. Wait, what are you talking about? Yeah. Oh man! All right, Terry, congratulations. You're going to see the Aztecs. Coming up on the other side, DJ Bauer, bracketologist. Where do the Aztecs fit in? What about UC San Diego? What about the rest of the Mountain West? Plus Mark Ziegler at 5:30. Another giveaway for you in the 5 o'clock hour. Aztecs coming up tonight at 8. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
This update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. San Diego State takes on San Jose State tonight up in the Bay Area. 8 p.m. tip, 7 p.m. pregame. San Jose State is going to be without their top scorer, Josh Aduje. He's out tonight with a back injury. He had 21 points in the previous matchup between San Diego State and San Jose State here at Viejas Arena. NFL news of the day. Saints made it official. They're hiring Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to be their next head coach. And the Padres made it official today for their 1-year, $1 million signing of Jason Hayward. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscriptions ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off today.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
Jason Hayward's deal with the Padres for 2025 is a $1 million base, which is the same deal as Connor Joe, which is the minimum for a player with 10 years of service or whatever it is. I don't think Joe Hayward equals Profar 2024, but then again, if it doesn't, what are you out?
Yeah, it's the Nelson Cruz deal, right?
Yeah.
Where they signed him to a 1-year deal, $1 million for their DH spot. Didn't perform, didn't work. They released him midseason. No harm, no foul.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego, Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of Jon and Jim here until 6. Then Aztec pregame is 7. San Diego State, San Jose State coming up at 8 p.m. Northern California, Ted Leitner on the call. All right, so you guys know the deal. I like to bring on a bracketologist weekly, right? Jim, you know the deal.
I know the deal.
Typically, I just do the interview because that's what I do. Now, Jim, you can ask a question if you want.
I got a question loaded.
Okay, we'll get to it. We have DJ Bauer with us today, bracketologist. He does it at Bracketology.com. And this is what I respect about you, DJ, and I've been following your work, and I appreciate you coming on. Like, you do a bubble update, you write 12,000 words. Like, it's a lot of words.
That's no joke.
I don't know if Jim has ever written 12,000 words.
I don't think I've ever read 12,000 words.
Correct. So read or written 12,000 words. So DJ, appreciate you hopping on. Obviously, exciting time, 4+ weeks out from Selection Sunday. You know, San Diego State has obviously made a living here under either Steve Fisher or Brian Dusher of getting to the NCAA tournament. It's not going to be easy. We all understand that in San Diego, but where do you see the Aztecs right now in the grand scheme of things? And thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I mean, as you're in reference to your question about San Diego State, I mean, obviously you talk about the recent, tournament success. They're chasing, their 5th straight NCAA tournament appearance, would have been 6th if not for the COVID year, which I'm sure is a sore spot for many.
Oh, don't talk about that, DJ.
San Diego, but you know what? I'm a Penn State fan, so that would have been their breaking their drought too. So I'm in the same boat, but yeah, in terms of San Diego State this year, circumstances are a little different. Bubble's kind of an unfamiliar, part of the bracket for them to be in. But part of that is just that the Mountain West isn't as strong this year as it was last year. Obviously, they got 6 teams into the tournament last year, which was a record. This year they're, looking at probably going to get somewhere between 2 to 3 teams, maybe 4 at the maximum. And, San Diego State is in the conversation for that. But yeah, as you're seeing on most of the brackets that, bracketologists are putting out there, San Diego State sitting right now at like a 10, 11 seed. Some have them in Dayton. Most of them do have them in the field, but, a lot of work to do between now and Selection Sunday to kind of make sure that spot is a bit safer.
So what does San Diego State need to do down the stretch to kind of solidify their resume to make another NCAA tournament, in your opinion?
Right. So you take a look at their resume right now, and it's very kind of like lukewarm in terms of all the things that you look at. Two of the big things that the selection committee will look at are the metrics. You have the resume metrics that kind of show how well have you performed against your schedule, and you have the quality metrics, the predictive metrics, which kind of give you like a barometer for how good the inherent quality of this team is. That's your Ken Palms, your BPIs, your T ranks, things like that. And as it sits right now, San Diego State is 52nd in the net. Most of those resume metrics are, ranking in about the 40s. Those quality metrics are ranking in the 40s and the 50s. So it's kind of a very uncomfortable spot for them. But they do have a pretty big trump card on their resume, in that their quad 1 record. They're 4-3, which are kind of the most difficult opponents on your schedule. They've got 2 massive wins from back when they played in that Players Era tournament back in November when they beat Houston and Creighton right around Thanksgiving. That Houston game went to overtime. That Creighton game, they dominated. They won by 18 points. Those are two, huge linchpins on their resume right now that, in comparison to the other teams on the bubble, is a reason why you would really like the Aztecs and put them in the field. So that is going to go a long way towards Selection Sunday in terms of what they got to do down the line. Take advantage of those quad 2 opportunities that they got. They've only got one quad 1 game left, and that's at Utah State. Obviously, Utah State beat the Aztecs in Viejas earlier this year, so if they can get that return game, that would be good. New Mexico, of course, is another team that are popping up in brackets right now. They win that game. That's going to go a long way for their resume. And this, just hold serve against the opponents. San Jose State, tonight, that's a quad 3 game, so that's something that San Diego State's really going to want to win to try to prevent putting a bad loss on their resume.
No doubt about it. DJ Bauer is with us right now. Bracketology, Bowertology.com. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. So, like you said, 6 teams last year from the Mountain West were in the NCAA tournament. A banner year. This year, that's not happening, obviously. But how do you see the resumes in the league stacking up? Who has the best one? Is it Utah State or is it New Mexico?
I think the two of them are pretty close right now, and I think there's a good argument to be made either way. I think most bracketologists have those two sitting somewhere around between the 8 and the 10 seeds, kind of above where San Diego State is. I think I would go with Utah State just for the fact that they have been, they're 20-3. They're so good on the road. They're, 7-1 in road records. Obviously, they won at San Diego State. They won at St. Mary's. It's just incredible what they've been able to do. It, seems like they're hiring a new coach every year and getting to the tournament every year. So that's incredibly impressive. And then New Mexico is a decent team that, compares very metrically similar to Utah State. And obviously they won that game in Logan at the Spectrum, which is huge for them. Kind of their issue is that they also took some not so great losses. They lost at San Jose State, the team that San Diego State's playing tonight. That's a quad 3 loss. And they lost a home game to New Mexico State, which is a quad 4 loss and really not good for them. But they've done enough winning elsewhere. They got that neutral court win over UCLA, where the two of them are pretty solid right now. I would say that they're kind of sitting around the 8, 9, 10 range, kind of a half step above San Diego State. And then in terms of the teams below that, the only other ones that I could really see in the Mountain West making a run are Boise State, who's not that far out. They were a team that I considered for my bubble watch that I did yesterday, but I think that they're a little bit removed from that right now. If they can win some games down the line, including at San Diego State on Saturday, that would be huge for them. And then Colorado State's a little farther out from that, but they have played really well after a bad non-conference. They started off conference play really strong, so I would not quite count them out yet either.
DJ Bauer, bracketologist, with us right now on Jon and Jim. I think what sometimes people fail to consider in San Diego, the Aztecs, as you can imagine, at San Diego are such a big deal, without the NBA and with the successes that they've had. I think what some people forget about this team is they're super young. Like when you look at, you go to some of these metric sites and you click on experience, and San Diego State's in the mid 200s in experience. There's no other at-large candidate in the mid 200s in experience returning. They don't have Reese Waters this year. Again, some of these are excuses, but typically San Diego State have been really old. They've been really good by staying old. This is one of the younger teams that San Diego State has had. Now, switching gears, one of the more improbable stories maybe in college basketball is right across town in La Jolla. UC San Diego. Aztecs beat them on opening night. They nearly lost to them last year. Jaden Ledea to put back at the buzzer to win in La Jolla. Does UC San Diego, I think at 20-4 overall, do they have an at-large case in the Big West in their first year of eligibility for the NCAA tournament?
You know what? They do. And that is actually, something super exciting. As you said, it's their first year of eligibility for the tournament. And you mentioned that they played a really good game on opening night against San Diego State. Aztecs just barely won that one by 5. You take a look at UC San Diego's resume, and this is a good team. They, obviously opportunities are limited playing in a conference, like the Big West, where you're not going to get, that kind of quality frequently. But something that really helps them is that UC Irvine is also a really good team. Two teams that I think are both in the conversation for at-large bids. Whoever does not win the Big West, the other will have a decent chance. And just taking a look at the Tritons, resume metrics are very similar. And the quality metrics are pretty similar to San Diego State. They don't quite have those massive wins that the Aztecs do, beating Houston, beating Creighton. But they did go on the road and they won at Utah State. So that's a huge part of their resume. They just won at UC Irvine. They won that game very handily, a place where teams usually don't go into and look that impressive. So like you said, 18-4 against Division I, 8-2 on the road, have a handful of wins. They're 2-1 in quad one. This is absolutely a team that, they play well down the line. They will have a chance.
Yeah, so let's hypothetically say UC San Diego loses the Big West title game to UC Irvine. Or I guess you could go vice versa if you wanted. But I think maybe UC San Diego's a better resume right now. You tell me.
It's close.
It's close. What would happen there if both of those teams run the table and one of them obviously loses to the other in the conference title game? What do you speculate were to happen with the second team?
It obviously depends a lot on what the other teams in the power conferences are doing along the bubble, things like that. I mean, a trend that I have noticed in my years of bracketology is usually the committee will try to hand an at-large bid to, a really good mid-major that, went above and beyond its expectations kind of thing. I mean, we saw Belmont get last four in 2019. We saw Wyoming in 2022. We just see these, routinely these teams. Drake was another one in 2021. That was a last four in kind of team. And Indiana State would have been last year if not for the fact that there were so many bid thieves. They were the third team out. We had 5 bid thieves last year, so they would have been in otherwise. So I do think it's a situation where both of these teams are able to clean up the rest of their regular season schedule. And, it's all quad 3 and quad 4 for Irvine, but for UC San Diego, they do have another quad 2 game at CSUN. So if they can win that game, that'll help their resume too. They continue to win and we don't have too many bid thieves and, power conferences kind of continue to beat each other up. I do think that there is maybe a 50-50 shot that the loser of that Big West title game does get in as an at-large.
I just thought of a scenario because San Diego's never had 2 teams in the NCAA tournament in a year. There's always been, USD has played Division I basketball a long time, San Diego State as well, but now UCSD. I just thought of a scenario like San Diego State up against UC San Diego for like a final at-large spot. That's a possibility, right?
Yeah, very well could be. And in that scenario, if it comes down to that, there's a very good chance that the committee would look at that game that they played all the way back on November 6th and say, hey, San Diego State won, we'll give them the final spot. They usually don't look at the head-to-head too much, but whenever it comes to like those very last kind of decisions, 2 teams right next to each other on the seed list, that is something that they could pull out.
Can you imagine that? By the way, if one of the final spots, I'm just looking at them.
That'd be crazy.
I mean, if the final spot in the field is either UC San Diego or San Diego State at the expense of the other. That'd be pretty fast. That's probably oversimplifying it, but we're in the middle of February, and these are 2 teams that are kind of firmly on the bubble. And if that continues to be the case, it'll be interesting to watch how it plays out. DJ, appreciate you coming on. Love your work. Bracketology.com for our listeners. Bracketology. I know you've done great work over there. So we appreciate you doing it, and we're looking forward to the next couple of weeks. So thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
All right, DJ Bauer, bracketologist. It just feels good. Get it off the chest. Talk about it.
That one question I asked was
what did
probably
you even say?
My best question I've ever asked anybody in my life.
You're like, what's your favorite color?
Do you like sports?
What did you do the last 8 minutes? What are you looking at? Recipes?
I'm currently doing the FCC compliance training,
which was like due yesterday or whatever.
It's due later today, so I'm kind of last minute. Just
that thing takes. First of all, I've done that. How many straight years have I done that thing?
Well, we've all done it every year that we've been here. So what? 8?
Yeah, you do it every year. It's required, John.
I know. It's
right.
It's
come
a lot.
on.
I know.
Come on, FCC.
Yeah, I get it. But anyway,
the questions never change, so you should know.
That's the thing. Yeah. Are there even? Is it even like a test anymore? I forget. Did I have to fill out answers?
No, not on this one.
By the way, be careful taking that test on air.
Payroll plug.
Why?
Because there's the sounds and all this stuff.
It's muted.
All right.
Yeah, as long as it's muted.
Mark Ziegler is going to join us coming up at 5:30.
Don't pull Jimmy Kimmel.
On the other side, we've got a pair of tickets to see the Warren Haynes Band at Humphreys by the Bay on May 14th. Mark Ziegler on tonight for San Diego State. He's in Northern California. Stay with us. Jon and Jim. Mark Ziegler will join us coming up at 5:30. The Aztecs are back tonight. They'll take on San Jose State. Pre-game coverage at 7. Ted's got the tip at 8 right here in your home of the Aztecs. San Diego Sports 760.
What?
I'm doing things. This show's getting in the way of.
We are in the loopy hour.
This is the loopy hour, dude.
It is.
This is such the loop.
5
By the way,
o'clock
do you know what
hits.
tomorrow is?
Wednesday?
No, it's pitchers and catchers. It's Mike Shildt speaking with the media. It's Kevin Acee back on Jon and Jim for the first time in 48 hours.
I can't freaking wait.
We get everything tomorrow. We get media.
Oh my God, a Mike Shildt press conference.
Dude, you know what this social media team's going to tweet out? They're going to be guys throwing the ball. No, but they're going to show video of guys throwing and then guys catching.
Oh my gosh.
All that is happening tomorrow.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I honestly,
I'm serious. I seriously
cannot wait.
What do you want to hear from Shildt tomorrow?
Until I hear some Shilty content.
I need you should have seen Darvish in his side session today. He's throwing that cutter.
Oh, he's ready to go.
He was hitting spots.
That guy's going to be so giddy tomorrow.
Who's throwing that first spring game against the Mariners, which I called a must-win 3 months ago?
February 21st.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, you keep saying it's February 23rd.
Are you sure?
22nd. That's 21st, dude.
That's quick, man. That's 10 days from now.
Very quick.
Mariners.
I need to know the starting lineup.
Who's the home team?
Well, good question.
Kind of both.
Yeah. Yeah. The Shilty press conference tomorrow morning. Don't worry. We're going to play a lot of that sound.
Can we just play it live on the station, cut into Colin? What time is it?
Nah, people get mad at us.
Who?
You know who.
Oh, you mean we can't do it like legally?
Yeah.
Gotcha. But I want to hear the whole thing. Maybe we'll play it during Jon and Jim.
We'll play it during Jon and Jim.
What is it going to be, 10 minutes? We're playing that.
It might be like 3 questions and each question gets a 4-minute answer.
I hope. I want like 4 minutes on like the 19th non-roster invite.
Yes.
You know, I want 4 minutes on
like Logan roster
Gillespie earlier.
Like give me your breakdown on Logan
like,
Gillespie.
Oh, funny you asked because he added that splitter and it's really diving away from lefties right now.
One of those like if I were there and if I had any guts, I think I would ask him, "Hey, so how's Luis Patino looking?"
Why?
Because I know it's one of those questions he would just go on a 2-minute.
Eat it up.
He would eat it up.
I love this guy.
Oh, love him.
Stuff's
great. Stuff's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
He's carving up lefties and righties.
He's a great opportunity.
He's the Tyler Wade of our pitching staff.
Or if or what would really get him going?
What?
How excited are you for a healthy Manny this upcoming spring?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, let me tell you about Manny. I'll tell you what. Toddy had a laser show the other day.
That's what he said in that 6-minute diatribe.
Laser show at Petco Park.
He complimented Wadey.
Of course he did. Wadey's his favorite freaking player.
I would actually start with Tyler Wade. Like, what was your reaction to that $900,000 deal in October?
Do you think Tyler Wade can make that jump this year?
Jump. Like a literal jump?
Like, can he jump?
Can he jump up? So tomorrow, pitchers and catchers officially report for the Padres. Mike Shildt meets with the media around midday. Kevin Acee will be with us on Jon and Jim
to recap
the throwing,
the press conference from Shildt.
I'm excited, and I want to know, like, is tomorrow the day that we hear from like John Seidler, Eric Etsen? It's not. It's not to your point, but it would be at some point, probably this, like by the end of the weekend, because that's when the full
end of the
team,
weekend or next week.
Yeah, the full team reports by whatever it is, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah,
Sunday, Monday.
That's going to be the most interesting thing: is who speaks, when do they speak, and what do they say?
Let me see.
It would be a major disappointment if it was just like Eric Grupner.
No, Preller's talking.
Preller will speak.
Yeah. Out of so Seattle, then Sacramento, and then at Dodgers. You need to win 2 of those.
At least.
At least 2. So you're right. So the opener is February 21st.
You can't start this. You can't start spring training 1 and 2.
No, you really not when you have the Cubs coming in game 4.
0-3 is like whose job's on the line.
Fire everybody.
Fire everybody, dude.
Man, spring training. I always get so excited for spring training, but then you get 3 games in, you're like, oh my god,
this is
I
awful.
can't believe we have to deal with this.
And like 2 weeks in, you're like, okay, I'm done. There's only so much content you can put out there of guys in the backfield taking BP.
I know, and then
it will be out there.
But it's like, what's real, what's fake? Like Merrill had that good spring last year. Like, well, it's spring, but then he carried it over, you know. But some guys have a good spring. Like, okay, Hayward hit 419 in spring. Does that mean he's going to hit 300 in the regular season?
Well, we know Kevin's like one of his number one priorities this offseason is Xander.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm curious to see what Xander has to say about having to go back to shortstop after being put at second base last year.
Good point.
Kind of yo-yoing you back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And if they go out next offseason and get a shortstop, or Leo DeVries is a guy that comes up, then he's going to go back to second. You know, it's.
Do you think Ethan Salas or Leo DeVries is playing for a spot on this opening day roster?
No, I don't even want to talk about that. They shouldn't be at all.
I mean, it's not even a conversation.
No, I don't care if they hit
Padres
500 in spring.
Padres haven't even positioned them to do that. They've signed veteran catchers and they have enough infielders.
Ethan Salas needs to have a full year in the minors with an OPS above 600 first.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, give me a break.
And probably needs to be older than whatever he is right now.
Yeah,
can
18. We have him not be a teenager?
Yeah, exactly. Like whatever that's going to take.
Like, stop. It's not even a conversation.
To not be a teenager.
No.
Aztecs tonight. Now, Mark Ziegler's in Northern California. He wrote about this yesterday. He's going to join us in 5 minutes. The Aztecs did something this week they haven't done in 15 years. That's stay on the road for a road trip. They have not stayed on the road for a road trip in 15 years, other than like NCAA tournament or Mountain West tournament. So this is completely atypical. They normally get out of elevation. They even will go out of elevation to return to elevation. They could play an hour away, like Colorado State to Wyoming. They would come home to get out of elevation, but this isn't that. They're going from elevation to Northern California to take on San Jose State. But like, it's a little uncharted what they're doing here. They stayed on the road for 3 days. They watched the Super Bowl together. They've eaten meals together. They're watching film together, right?
Bonding.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's late in the year maybe for that, but it will be interesting to see how they respond to Saturday. Like they didn't play well. They could have won the game. That's the crazy thing about Saturday, but they just didn't play well. They out rebounded, didn't shoot it well from the free throw line, 10 straight possessions they didn't score in the second half. I just want to see how they respond tonight against San Jose State.
Do you know why they're on the road? Like why they stayed out there?
It's just been 8:00 start Saturday night. You wouldn't have gotten back till Sunday.
Okay,
and
so
then you
like
would have left Monday
Yeah.
for Northern California. So like, yeah, exactly. As opposed to losing the day, just stay on the road.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. See the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, road trip, just not having many distractions.
Yeah.
Be together as a team.
And find a way to win tonight.
Yeah, find a way to win.
All right, Mark Ziegler will join us from Northern California. On the other side, we'll get you ready for tonight. Aztecs and Spartans. Jim's back page is ahead. Do we have something to give away? Warren Haynes tickets we'll give away coming up as well. Stay with us.
All right, this update's brought to you by Rapid Radios. We'll start with the Aztecs. They take on San Jose State tonight up in the Bay Area. 8 p.m. tip, 7 p.m. pregame. You can listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. Big news as San Jose State's top scorer, Josh Aduje, he's out tonight with a back injury. He had 21 points in the last matchup between both of these teams. NFL news of the day, Saints make it official. They hired Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to be their next head coach. And the Padres make it official. They signed Jason Hayward to a 1-year, $1 million deal. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscriptions ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
All right, so we've been talking about San Diego State. It's great to connect with Mark Ziegler, who does such a good job on the beat covering Aztecs men's basketball for the San Diego Union Tribune. Back with us on Jon and Jim. He's in Northern California for San Diego State, San Jose State coming up in 2.5 hours. So, Mark, you were there Saturday. We saw how it played out the first meeting with San Jose State, and we'll see about the health of the Spartans coming into this. But there's no other way to look at this other than a must-win, right, for San Diego State, at least from an at-large perspective.
Oh, 100%. If they don't win this, they're done. And I mean, I guess they could run the table after this and maybe get themselves back into contention. But the issue is they are hanging on by a thread. And right now, most bracketologists who really study this and follow this think that they're in the tournament as we speak right now, but as one of the last 2 or 3 teams in. And if they fall off of that line and into that group of teams out of the tournament, then you have to find a way to climb in. And that's where the problem with the Mountain West not being as good this year, nearly as good this year, comes into play. There just aren't enough opportunities to climb. And so their best path is to an at-large berth is to hang on to what they have. And to hang on what they have, they've got to win tonight.
So for the rest of the season here, Mark, realistically, what do you think they need to do? Obviously tonight, yeah, must win, but the remainder of their season, in your opinion, what's the path you think?
I think they have to go 7-1, and the loss would come against Utah State on the road or New Mexico at home. Neither of those would really hurt them because both those teams are ahead of them right now. And then the second thing that has to happen that it's going to come down to the wire if they do this is that there are no what they call bid stealers. So there's no team from a league that has a for sure at-large berth in the NCAA tournament have somebody not with an at-large berth win that conference tournament. So that could happen in the American Athletic Conference where, say, Memphis is for sure in. But if any of those other teams upsets Memphis and wins that conference tournament, that adds an extra spot and bumps everyone down. Everyone on the bubble gets bumped down in one spot. And that's what San Diego State needs to avoid. And I think there's 2 or 3 conferences where you could really see that happening. So to be safe, they're going to have to win at least all but one game to go. And maybe that might not be enough.
I think it was a year ago. It was an abnormality. I think there were 5 bid stealers a year ago. Of course, San Diego State was safely in the field. That was an abnormality. But yeah, to your point, on average, there's a couple per year. Mark Ziegler with the UT is with us. Mark, you brought this to our attention a couple of weeks ago. You made note of the fact that basically San Diego State is the youngest team or the least experienced team that remains in at-large contention. How do you think this, I guess the youth or the inexperience is impacting them as they go through the trials and tribulations? Because even these last 5 games, they have 4 wins in those, but man, they've been hard fought, including against San Jose State. They played a back and forth game with Colorado State, or it was winnable at the end, but they didn't win it. So how do you think, I guess, the youth is factoring into what they're going through?
I mean, I think that's a big part of it. I just don't think when you're that young, you've never been really through this. You've never been through the struggles of trying to make the tournament and understanding the urgency needed and just the grind of the season. And maybe as they get closer to the end, they'll get a second wind and start playing better. But the flip side of it is, when they were playing well in November, no one really expected them to do anything. They had no expectations. People back then didn't expect them to make the tournament necessarily, didn't expect them to be ranked, didn't expect them to beat a team like Creighton or Houston. And then they went out and played really free and loose. And And so what's hard to tell to me is it just an experience of them not understanding what's at stake and how to deal with it, or is it having the pressure and understanding that and having that pressure and those expectations suddenly, and that's crushing them. It's really, really hard to tell with this team. I do know one thing: I don't get a sense there's a lot of urgency on the team. I don't think the players understand how close they are to falling out of the at-large talk. I've talked to 2 or 3 players after recent games, and they all kind of look back at me with these blank looks and just say, "Yeah, we're making the tournament." And it's just like, look at the metrics, man. You're not going to make the tournament if you don't start playing better. And so we'll see if they get that feeling of urgency and start playing better, or maybe they just aren't able to right now. But there's certainly something going on that isn't allowing them to play at the level they're playing at in November.
Man, that's interesting, because yesterday me and John were talking, in a different college basketball world where there's not the transfer portal and, all these kids playing on different schools seemingly every year, you would be like, wow, this team as a young team coming back next year, it's going to be really good. But you don't know if this entire team is going to return. The likelihood of that happening in the college basketball world today is not very high. So, it feels like because of that, from the outside looking in, then yeah, there's a lot of pressure to make the tournament, because the likelihood of this entire group returning next year, it doesn't seem like it's very high.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to see how, if they don't make it, how that affects what happens next year. Because, pretty much to a man, they all come to San Diego State because they want to play in the NCAA tournament. And San Diego State can tell them, we play in the NCAA tournament every year. We're a team that's trying to win a national title. We're trying to get to the Final Four. And they have some pedigree to back that up, particularly in recent history. And I think if they got to the tournament and then, lost the game, I think there'd be the sort of feeling of, look, run it back. We're going to be so good next year. Look, we made the tournament this year. We got a taste of it. But if they don't make the tournament this year, you can make the counter argument that the players might just say, well, we didn't make it. Why should I stay here? What's the guarantee? And so maybe it starts to splinter a little. I know the players really like each other. They get along. I think, all things being equal, they want to stay together. They want to give this keep this going. But there's just so many forces out there, whether it's the NBA and Miles Bird, whether it's, a guy like Magoon Guaf, and the amount of money that somebody's going to throw at him. I think someone's going to throw $1 million plus at the guy, given what he's done recently. And they just don't have that kind of money. How much of a discount would he take to stay? Guys like Taj DeGorville and Farrell Compton, who are real close friends and want to play together. Is that going to be enough to resist the temptations of all it takes is one school offering them and overpaying, for them, have them maybe be tempted to go. So it's just going to be it's going to be the craziest offseason they've ever had, knowing what this team could be if they stay together.
Just these off seasons right now in college athletics, and just in general, it's a different world, and it's not just San Diego State dealing with it. Mark Ziegler with us right now on Jon and Jim. So what's the impact here? We'll see. We saw the report earlier today that Josh Adouje may be out tonight. Just a terrific scorer. We saw it firsthand at Viejas. Will McClendon, I don't think he played great in that first meeting, but he's a good scorer. They're a very talented offensive team. What's the impact here? It's a significant one, right? If they miss Josh Adouje, if San Diego State misses Josh Adouje tonight.
Yeah, 100%. It's a huge break for this team. And you think about it, this team really hasn't gotten a break like this all year.
Right.
They're the team playing without its best player the entire season, and people keep forgetting that. There's no Reese Waters on this team, and this team was built, with a lot of youth, but knowing they'd have a veteran, bucket getter in Reese Waters, a go-to guy, and all that. And so it's kind of nice for them to maybe play a team that doesn't have that either. And yeah, it's a huge loss for them. And they have other scorers out there. Latrell Davis can score. You mentioned Will McClendon. Yeah. But I really feel like Josh is the heart and soul of the team. He's the senior leader. And he really makes them go. If you remember that game, he scored 21 points, but he had 3 threes, just bang, bang, bang right off the bat. That got them going and got them confident. And so when you take that out of line of that kind of guy, it can really hurt them. And again, the Aztecs, huge opportunity to jump on this team, get ahead. and play from ahead instead of having that. I mean, if they're down 5 or 8 points in the second half, I mean, this is going to be a grind, knowing what's at stake. And so I think that, they might be able to sort of run away and hide a little bit.
Are we past the point of no return for Reese?
It has to be. I think 100%. I mean, he's with the team. He's doing a little bit more now. I mean, he goes through warm-ups. He goes through some like layup line drills and some shooting drills, nothing contact. And then he goes off and does his fitness. He was doing some stair work yesterday in the arena at San Jose State. But you also can tell he's not like pushing. Like if you get cleared and they say you can play, you just got to get fit. You're doing a lot more than he's doing, and he's taking his time. So I think that's pretty much the best indication that he's not coming back this year.
What do you think it says? I mean, he's been so heavily invested, right? I mean, he's traveled with this team. It feels like he's kind of like a player coach at times on the sideline. Do you think that's any indication into what his decision may be this offseason?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, look, he doesn't have to come on every road trip. No one would look at him any differently or any worse if he decided, I don't want to go, on this 6-day road trip. I want to stay home, do classes, and just chill. And he's wanted to be at every meeting, every practice, every film session, every road trip. He's been everywhere, and he loves the program. He loves the coaches. He's comfortable. His family's not in a position like some that really, really need NIL money to make ends meet. They don't. And so I think that's an advantage for him. He can pick a program and make a decision not based strictly on financial considerations. And so, I'd be shocked if he went anywhere else. I think he's all in. But you never know. Again, it's just a whole new world, and you can't say 100% something's going to happen because it doesn't always happen 100% of the time anymore.
100%. That's where Jim's point is so valid. Like 10 years ago, you know what I mean? You just say, okay, well, yeah, maybe this team pans out. Maybe they get to the NCAA tournament, maybe not. But man, look at what they're going to have back. But it's not 10 years ago. Even off the national championship game run, Mark, to your point, it's like if you make that run 10, 12 years earlier, it just feels like the benefits are magnified. But in today's world, it's just not the same because the dollar amount and the NIL figure and the open portal, I mean, that seems to trump almost everything in the sport.
Yeah, and the other thing too is I think it changes expectations for each team because you have to view each team as its own individual entity. You can't look at it as a 2, 3, 4 year project. We're building a program, we're building a great team, and we're building. If this was the old days, you'd look at this team and say, well, if anything they do this year is a bonus. We're looking at next year, and if you go back to 2009, 2010, when Kawhi Leonard was a freshman, okay, that team made it to the NCAA tournament. They lost Tennessee in the first game. It was a semi-close game, and they came home. But nobody was like, "Oh my gosh, that was bad season." Everything was. Can you imagine what it's going to be like next year? They knew they were a couple of years, but everyone else was a senior coming back. Malcolm Thomas, Billy White, DJ Gay. Then they added Chase Tapp. They had that whole team back, and then it was almost in 2009, 2010. People were already thinking ahead to 2010, 11, and then of course 34-3, Sweet 16, and one of the best teams in the country. And it was a breakout season for the program. But you can't look at it this way. I think people look at it like, well, this team has to make the NCAA tournament because if it doesn't, we don't know if it'll be around.
No doubt. Mark, always appreciate it. Thanks for doing it.
Thanks, Mark.
We'll catch up with you again soon. We'll be reading you tonight in the UT, and thanks for hopping on.
All right. My pleasure.
All right.
Talk to you guys.
Great stuff from Mark Ziegler. Jim's back page coming up next. right, pregame coverage for San Diego State, San Jose State coming up at 7 p.m. Ted Leitner on the call at 8 p.m. Aztecs got to have it tonight. Northern California against the San Jose State Spartans. Are you ready for your back page?
Are you ready for the back page?
Am I ready? I am. Let's get to it.
So yesterday, you said that the numbers for the Super Bowl were in at 126 million people, about 3% more than last year's game, which was at 123.
Okay.
Well, actually, the number keeps going up, John.
It's going up?
It's gone up. It's gone up by 1.5 million to 127.5 million.
Wow.
Somehow the halftime show is at 133 million, the most watched halftime show ever. I don't know how that's possible. How you can have more people watch the halftime show than they watch the game. I guess maybe. And how would you know the halftime show?
How do you even know it's halftime?
If you're not watching it?
Like, oh, hey, I think it's halftime.
I don't know. Anyway, those numbers are now out a couple days later. They keep going up. The Kendrick performance is at 133 million. Most watched halftime show ever.
How do we get 133 million people to watch this show? I'm going to put that's a task for Jim tonight.
So
for tomorrow.
I've been thinking about this, ironically, since you asked. We're going to need like
some help.
Who is that influence golfer Paige? What's her name? She's on Radio Row this year.
Sporadic or whatever.
San Diego State grad.
We're going to need to have her be part of the show.
Okay.
To at least get something like more like
that's
more.
What we're missing to get to 133 million.
I'm just saying she would help. She knows sports. She's golf. Like it'd be great.
I know sports.
Now, who would she replace on the show?
You.
Easily Brent.
What else you got?
Next here, Chick-fil-A is bringing back their Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich. Chick-fil-A is reviving a fan favorite this spring with the return of the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich. The limited time menu item is expected to launch nationwide on March 17th. I would ask if you like Chick-fil-A, but you don't.
I like waffle fries.
Okay. I think Chick-fil-A is really good.
I like this. Don't they put like a side of fruit in a small cup?
They can.
If you want one,
I like that.
You can.
So there you go there. Dunkin' Donuts is bringing back their popular $6 meal deals, John. For just $6, you get all of this.
Okay.
A sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich, crispy hash browns, a medium hot or iced coffee. All for just $6.
That's a good deal.
Says because even all-day breakfast deserves a little star power. It's not yet known when this will be available, but the Dunkings $6 meal deal making its way back to Dunkin's very, very soon.
Coming to Europe.
Coming to
Paris and London, 2026.
Dude, could you? No. And finally, back to Chick-fil-A. They're bringing back a refreshing new flavor to its menu item this spring, launching the pineapple dragon fruit lemonade. Dude, that sounds delicious.
That's a little tart, is it not? Because I love some pineapple and I like some pineapple juice, but if you have too much of it, right?
Here's some options.
Maybe the dragon fruit evens it out.
maybe. Seriously.
Here's some options you can create with the new pineapple dragon fruit flavor.
Okay.
Pineapple dragon fruit lemonade, we just said that.
Yeah.
Pineapple dragon fruit Sunjoy. Pineapple dragon fruit iced tea.
Yeah.
And a pineapple dragon fruit frosty or frosted, I guess, whatever that is. Limited time makes its debut March 17th.
So are you a pineapple guy?
I love me some pineapple.
Me too, but do you know that feeling of when you eat too much pineapple?
No.
Yeah. Because you'll get
it's like it gets like on the roof of your mouth and like it like burns
it's
your
too
mouth.
much it's too much acid.
So acidic. I love pineapple though.
I eat a lot of pineapple.
I would live in a pineapple.
Under the sea?
Yeah.
SpongeBob SquarePants?
Right. All right. Good job with the back page. I really wasn't listening, which is typical for that segment, but great. There's some really good college basketball on tonight.
Isn't Kentucky and Tennessee like neck and neck right now?
It may be. It could be.
Let's check right now, John.
I'm watching BYU, West Virginia, UConn, Creighton's coming up. We have San Diego State.
Oh, must be nice. Kentucky's up 61-60 over Tennessee with 3:49 left in the game.
Yeah, I mean it's a good time of year.
Oh, Michigan up by a point over Purdue with 3:05 left in the game. Wow,
there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on right now.
Look at East Carolina and UAB.
Your alma mater.
They're tied 75 all with a minute left in the game.
Your alma mater.
Aaron's alma mater.
Same thing.
What is the East Carolina mascot?
Come on, you have to know that.
The Pirates.
Yeah,
there you go.
Have you ever been there?
No, but Aaron wants to take me. Are you intrigued?
You don't.
You didn't stop there when you went through the Carolinas?
No. Are you intrigued in this Northern Iowa Indiana State game?
Yeah, but I watch it. Sure.
Would you watch Murray State UIC?
Yeah. Illinois, Chicago.
Murray State's up 31-20 at the half.
Over the Flames.
What about Illinois versus UCLA? Halftime there in Illinois. Illinois is up 31-25 over UCLA. Ooh. Southeast Missouri against Little Rock. That's a good one. ESPN Plus.
I'd watch them all. Yeah.
This is the weirdest back page ever.
Yeah, this is the dumbest back page ever. All right, here's our schedule for tonight. 7:00. Rejoin us. Actually, don't go anywhere. What's on at 6?
Odd Couple.
Odd Couple. You won't want to miss that. That's 7:00. Our pregame coverage, and then 8:00. Ted's got the tip. Aztecs, Spartans. Fletch will join me for pregame. If you missed anything today, like that UIC score, go to sportsst.com or the iHeartRadio app or iTunes or TuneIn Radio or Spotify. And we're back tomorrow, too. Padres spring training underway. Pitchers and catchers reporting. Kevin Acey will be on the show tomorrow as well.
Shildt press conference, baby.
Press conferences return tomorrow.
Can't wait.
Baseball's back. All right, for Brent and Jim, I'm John. Pregame coverage at 7. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760.
Okay, bye.